Did they see you? Not on?
Yes.
Okay.
Good morning, Council President, council members, and everyone here present and watching. Welcome to the pre-meeting of the City of Newark for today, Tuesday, July 1st. Council members, can we please turn to page 67? As we have three appointments for the Newark Equitable Growth Advisory Commission. 8I will be Ms. Maria Iglesias. Is she present?
Is Mrs. Iglesias present? Oh, okay. Oh, there you go, right there. Please come up. Do you have, no, the microphone, to the microphone. I'm sorry, behind. Right there. There we go.
Oh my God, am I confused this morning?
It's all
Good
right.
morning.
It's all right. So first, Ms. Iglesias, you are being supported to be appointment to the Newark Equitable Growth Advisory Commission. Do you have an opening statement that you'd like to make, a short one?
Yes, I am extremely honored to be named to this committee. I have been in the city of Newark, working in the city of Newark for a very, very long time. The city of Newark has been very, very good to me in all the general meaning of the word. And I think that I reach an honorable age and that I can give something back now. And I hope that being in this committee will allow me to give something back.
Great, thank you very much. Anything from the council? I saw Councilman Quintana first and then Councilman Gonzalez.
Maria Iglesias is someone who, when we talk about people who come before council and speak, she was one of those persons, and back in the early 90s, that would come to this chambers to complain and tell us, what the concerns were about the community. And then she, through her and her partner, there were M&Ms, the two M&Ms, and there was a property behind Rotunda Pool, and I recall, and that property could not be sold. Nobody would even look at it. And they were able to put some houses, the two women, in a place where nobody would move, because everybody was looking for downtown, and nobody was looking to go into a place next to Rotunda Pool. And they built some houses in that area. Mrs. Iglesias has been a business person in the Ironbound, someone who still has a lot of business here and does a lot of things within the city. And I just want to say to her, I want to be a sponsor because I know the reason why I'm here sitting on this council is because people like Maria, who believed in me at one time and always, and she stood by me in the hardest days. And I remember that Mayor James said to her, how do you want to go over there and build? You want it, we'll get you to build. And she was able to build. And from there, she started her journey as a person developing in the city of Newark, and a female. And that's great. It makes that women can do things in our city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Council.
Councilman.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Gonzalez.
Good morning, everyone. I just want to echo the words of my council colleague. Maria is someone that I have known for many, many years. Her and her partner in crime, the other Maria, they have built a lot of big and beautiful buildings in the city of Newark, taking the word from our president, the big and beautiful. So Maria, thank you very much for allowing us to use your knowledge of the city of Newark in that capacity. Thank you very much for being able to contribute back to the city.
Thank you. I'm honored. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything
Want
else,
to
Councilman
sorry.
Ramos? I'm sorry, what's that?
To second the sponsorship.
Who seconded? Oh, Councilman Gonzalez seconded. Oh,
Yeah, I was going to second it, but Carlos beat
okay.
me to it. I just want to offer my congratulations as well. Maria's done a few projects in the North Ward over the years, and we're very proud of the fact that we do have minority women in the city who've been here, just didn't show up one day to the next that are developed in town. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Maria.
Next time.
Next, Ms. Hazel Applewhite.
Appearing. Good morning, Ms. Applewhite.
Good.
You are here to for a short interview for appointment to the Newark Equity Growth Advisory Commission. Do you have a brief opening statement?
Thanks. I appreciate that. Good
Mhm.
morning,
Good
council
morning.
member. Good morning, council president. Most of you I do know. My name is Hazel Applewhite, and I have the privilege of serving as CEO for Ironbound Community Corporation. I have spent the last 20 years of my life in Newark. I was not born in Newark, lived in New York City for most of my life, and moved into the community of Newark about 20 years ago, where I lived for about 15 years. My leadership at ICC which ICC is Ironbound Community Corporation, is I have a deep commitment to fostering equity. Sorry, my eyes. I have a deep commitment for fostering equity, growth, and social justice, especially within marginalized communities. I believe in building relationship based upon trust and transparency, and I lead with integrity and honesty. My focus is on creating sustainable opportunities for our community that allows our community to thrive. I am resilient and dedicated to working collaboratively to bring positive, lasting change. My goal is to inspire others to lead and succeed in that our communities can grow stronger together. I believe I'm a good candidate for the Equitable Growth Community Commission based upon my extensive experience in community development, community relations, also my experience and education around economic development, right? And the importance that, in order for communities to thrive, in order for our community members to thrive, we need to have obviously affordable housing, benefits that speak to the needs of our community, such as whether it's, economic empowerment, which comes with financial literacy. And I think these are all goals of the commission. I currently hold a BA in business management. I also, have an MBA, and I'm currently about 2 months away from my MPA, which also gives me the experience from ICC working on policy development that reflects equity, right? Ensuring that for so many years, our policies within the state and the nation, right, have basically oppressed, right, Black and brown folks. So it's important to have folks at the table that understand this and are able to develop and speak to policies that allow our community members to thrive. I am a servant leader. So what that means in detail is I'm here to serve the community. I am here to speak for the community. And I believe this is what makes me an excellent candidate for this commission. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Applewhite. Anything from the council? Councilwoman Scott Roundtree?
I'd like to sponsor her. She's
You
a
can do
wonderful, wonderful servant.
Council, anything else from the council? I'll second that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Congratulations.
Next, Ms. Vivian Cox Fraser.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Do you have a brief opening statement?
I'm
Brief.
Vivian. I wasn't prepared for that, but anyway.
And you don't have to.
Oh, I don't?
It's your choice. I think
Saying
all of
I'm
us know
honored
you
to
up here.
serve. I'm
Mhm.
honored. I've had the privilege of being the president and CEO of the Urban League of Essex County for 21 years. And over that time, I focused on building the organization from strictly social services to really economic development and community development. I believe that, Newark is developing. Certainly, we all see the Renaissance. And at the core of that, I believe that the Newark residents and the families here need to be the beneficiaries of that in terms of equity. So I'll say there's no equitable development if people don't have equity in it. So that's what drives me, and I'm happy to serve.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from the council? Councilman?
I just want to say
Kelly.
congratulations to Ms. Frazier. She does a lot of work in the West Ward, and we partner a lot of different things in the West Ward, and I just want to thank her for thinking about the residents of the city when it comes to affordable housing and things of that nature. So just want to say thank you, and I want to sponsor her.
A second.
All right, sponsored by Councilman Kelly, seconded by Councilwoman Scott Roundtree. Anything else from the council?
Congratulations.
No, thank you. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
We are now on page 3 of the agenda. Reports and recommendations of the city offices, boards, and commission.
Questions from the council? Hearing none. Next item.
6 PSFA is an ordinance granting a 30-year tax abatement to the Robert Tree Hotel to undergo major renovations.
Questions from the council? Councilman Ramos?
Yeah, if we can just get a brief update. I know we had representatives here from the Hotel Trades Council. They came to the last meeting, and from my understanding, there was supposed to be some conversations with the owners. There were also some allegations that I read in one of the blogs from workers that were complaining about conditions and stuff. So just so we can get an update in terms of where we are in that process.
Deputy Mayor?
Good morning, Council President, council members. Allison Ladd, Director of Economic and Housing Development. Yes, Council President, we did relay the question that was asked in the June council meeting. And so we do have the owners present, and Miles Berger is here to speak to that.
Good morning, council. Yes, we had some conversations with the union, which were reiterated in an email to Deputy Mayor Ladd. In addition, last night at around 8:30, my attorney spoke with them too. They came up with a group of some valid and some not correct recommendations. We've agreed to follow those recommendations and institute some new policies which will improve certain things for the employees. So we're on the right page with them.
Thank you.
If I could add, and I don't know if you've seen this, but I think we got this morning or a letter of working conditions. Did you receive that letter at all, or the different working conditions?
Yeah, we got it yesterday morning.
Okay. What I think would be helpful is if we could get some kind of just written response to these so that we're fully aware of what's going on and what you're doing to
Yes, we'll prepare
rectify
it.
those. All right.
You want it before the meeting tomorrow?
Yes, please.
Okay, you'll have it today.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anything else from the council before?
Next, 6 PSFB and 6 PSFC. Council members, we have a request of these both items to be deferred. 6 PSFT is an ordinance granting a 20-year tax abatement to 54 Lockwood Street Urban Renewal LLC for a project involving the demolition of the existing obsolete industrial buildings in the East Ward.
Any questions from the council? Hearing none. Next item.
6 PSFE is an ordinance amending Title 10, Finance and Taxation, expanding the guidelines for the expenditure of the Affordable Housing Trust Funds.
Questions from the council? Hearing none. Next item.
6 PSFF is an ordinance granting 25-year-long tax abatement to Sue K. Urban Renewal LLC to construct a new 13-story mixed-use building with 225 residential rental units consisting of 1 rental units, 196 at market rate. This item has been sponsored by Councilman Silva, second by Councilman Quintana.
Any questions from the council? Councilman Gonzalez.
I would like to go back to E. the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, I would like to get a, and I understand that there, it's going to be provided, but I want to make sure that it's on the record that how these, how the contribution to the Housing Trust Fund is computed, because I understand that there has been some discrepancy between the way that we're doing it and the way that the statute requires it to be made. So I want clarification as to say how is it that it's being computed, and how is it that a building that has, let's say, 25 square feet of commercial commercial space, and let's say 50 units is considered a business building and not a residential building. So the rates are substantially different between the trust fund contribution on housing and the trust fund contribution on commercial. So I want to get an explanation in writing of what is it, why is it that we are considering these buildings commercial buildings and not residential buildings.
All right, thank you. So through your office, a note.
6SFA is an ordinance authorizing the execution of a lease agreement between the City of Newark and 169 Clinton Development Urban Renewal LLC to accommodate the city's public purpose of providing housing for a significant homeless population.
Questions from the council?
Mr. President,
Councilman Gonzalez.
this item has been deferred like 4 times and failed on one. I believe it's time that we send it back to administration. If they want to make the corrections necessary so that it would be palatable to us to approve, I believe that it should be returned to the administration.
Mr. President.
And I saw.
Councilman Ramos.
Yeah, I just want to add that when this item first came up, I did receive a call from the business administrator's office because I did have a number of questions regarding the financing behind this and the long-term cost to the city. And, I never did get a date to fully discuss those parameters. From my understanding, the terms of the lease have changed, where supposedly the number of years that the city's committed has been reduced. But, I just never got answers to any of the questions that I had posed when this initially came up at the meeting. So I just want to put that on the record.
Councilman Silva.
Yeah, being from the East Ward, where the biggest homeless problem probably exists, around the Penn Station area, this is a project that I support, but like Councilman Ramos said, I don't think we've been given enough information on this. And I'm concerned at the amount of dollars that are being spent here. With the turmoil that's going on in Washington, D.C., the funding, are we securing it? Is it already given to us? Is it in our hands already? And I'm concerned that we may be losing, obviously, the possibility of losing some funding into the city, being what's going on at the White House. And I'm concerned about, like Councilman Gonzalez had said a few weeks ago, or even last month, regarding the amount of dollars towards this. And so, again, we haven't received, or I haven't received, enough information to make a decision on something like this. So whether you want to send it back to the administration, whether the administration wants to get us more information so we can make an informative decision, that's upon us to find out what's the best course of action.
Anything else from the council? Mr. B.A.
Yes, here we go. As the comments from the audience are thrown my way, I hope they'll hold their comments and they can curse me out at the end if they want to. I have no problem with that personally. I do take exception, though, to continued comments from Ms. Parker about Allison Ladd being called lying Allison Ladd and that goddamn Allison Ladd. I don't appreciate that. It has nothing to do with what's going on here. I can hear it from my desk, and it is inappropriate for that to continue here. And it would be my request that if that volume reaches the desk of the council president, that he be asked that these people who make these comments be ejected from the chamber. I can take it. Got no problem with it whatsoever, but it's inappropriate, it is unfair, and it's cowardly for those comments to be half whispered but loud enough for other people to hear. And if you want to direct me, come at it, have at it. With respect to this particular issue, the questions, with all due respect to Councilman Silva, I got this morning. I did not get prior questions from Councilman Silva. I'm prepared to answer them as best I can, and our staff is also prepared to answer them. The first 2 years of this lease, which is a 12-year lease, first 2 years with extensions are free. So there will be no budgetary commitment on the city with respect to the spend for the Riviera Hotel. It's the administration's position that we certainly need to provide accommodations, emergency accommodations, transition accommodations, and family accommodations for all the residents here. I'm getting more comments from the audience here, and it's making it difficult for me to concentrate.
Mr. Baer, let's do this, because we want to have a productive meeting here today. Please, I'm asking you one time right now.
That was not Ms.
Just
Parker, by the way.
I'm just saying in general. You know, we respect you. When you come up and speak and don't speak over you, let's allow the BA or whoever comes to the podium to speak and not be talked to. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate that. It's our obligation. It's our obligation as a city to accommodate our residents. Those are residents with addresses and residents without addresses. The Riviera Hotel will give us an opportunity to have units for emergency housing for men and for women. And there's a commitment that they will also provide housing for families on an emergency basis. And in addition to that, we'll have some transitional units involved as well. There are the lease terms. I'm not sure what Councilman Ramos is talking about with respect to the length of the lease. I think it's accurately reflected in the legislation that is before him now. There are 2 extension periods that could carry it out as much as 30 years, but doesn't have to be at 30 years. After the 12-year period, the 2 free years, and the 10-year period after that, the 12 years, then there are options to extend the lease, which we obviously don't have to exercise. We also, in the terms of the lease, if it's not funded, we have the right to seek to terminate the lease. That goes to Councilman Silva's question, and I think to Councilman Ramos's question as well. We also know we have the tremendous partnership of the county with respect to homeless services led by our own Councilman Ramos, and I'm sure that they will support us in our efforts to provide services to the residents of Newark. We also know that the county on a regular basis doesn't accommodate residents from other towns in the county, and they're sent to the city of Newark, and we take them. We're not going to send them back. We would love to get more support from the county with respect to what we do. If they want to commit funds to this endeavor, we would absolutely be happy to accept it and have more input from you as to how you want this to go. Not you, Councilman Ramos, but you, the County of Essex, to see how these things go forward. I think Councilman Silva's question also goes to how we're going to fund this going forward. Well, we don't fund, there are very few things that we fund beyond a couple of years, and it's subject to the availability of funding. We do expect that there are going to be challenges from the federal government with respect to certain projects that will be funded. This is not one of them because, as I indicated, the first 2 years, there will be no cost. The project will be run by an outside entity pursuant to an RFP. Right now, Catholic Charities is there. We expect that they will continue to bid to run this project, but they'll have competition just with any other project. And hopefully we'll be able to get the best provided services from the best company that's available. The way that this particular lease is structured also is on the first floor, we'll have social services built into the program that will be paid for, we anticipate, by grant funds that provide for homeless services. And even with challenges from the federal government, it is not our expectation that they're going to fully cut out funding. We also have a meeting coming up, I believe tomorrow, that the health director is going to be meeting with the Department of Community Affairs, where they have discussed the possibility of taking some homeless funds that they have for transitional housing, put them into this project, and then we move some of this money from this project into making sure that we have better partnerships with the Housing Authority and others to have permanent transition, permanent housing, post-transitional housing. So I think that we have a fairly comprehensive plan that will satisfy the concerns that Councilman Silva has raised, hopefully what Councilman Ramos has raised, while making sure that we provide the services that most of our residents in the city want with respect to addressing the needs of people who are temporarily unhoused, chronically unhoused, people who are displaced for emergency situations from lack of rent, loss of a job, or other issues, and making sure that they have an opportunity to ultimately get to a permanent housing. I'm happy to try and answer any specific questions beyond that any of the council people have.
Anything,
President.
Councilman Ramos?
Yeah, I just want to state, I don't understand Eric's comment about the county and whether the county would support this deal financially. I mean, we do have a number of programs that we offer. We work in collaboration with Mr. Alario, Homeless Services.
That's all.
You know, the question at hand is this deal, right? This is a big commitment on behalf of the city of Newark.
Absolutely.
To a private developer to rehab the Riviera Hotel. It binds us for a period of time, and for me is worth whether or not the deal is worth it financially. I know from a social service standpoint, this is a very important service that we offer for residents without addresses. But you know, when you calculate the lease payments over the terms of the lease, this is a considerable amount of money. And as Councilman Silva mentioned, this is in an environment where there's a lot of uncertainty about whether or not there's going to be federal funds available past this year to support initiatives like this. And this is also in an environment where the state government, as you know and will know over the next few days, is kind of tightening its belt financially. So, you know, my responsibility up here is always to try to, you know, I'm a very reasonable person, right? I asked questions when this deal first came up and I didn't support it. Your office reached out to me and I texted you and I said, look, I have some questions about the financing involved here. And I never did have the opportunity to discuss that with you.
I apologize about that. I thought that we had gotten you the information that you requested.
That's it. It's fine. It's not a personal thing. It's just, you know, I have a responsibility up here and, you know, I'm as open-minded as they come, as long as I feel that the deal is protects the taxpayers and at the same time provides a good service.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'll relate to the county executive your comments about whether the county should be invested in this or not.
Absolutely. It doesn't have to invest in this. Just take more residents who come to Newark from elsewhere in Essex County and make sure that they are addressed. And so the city of Newark doesn't have to assume that responsibility. But I'm happy to work with you if you're working.
I think
with Louis.
we have your, I think our folks are working with your, you know, we have the same struggles that you have. We have
No
people
question.
from all over the tri-state area that show up at our county welfare agency seeking emergency assistance and housing. It's not a problem that's just unique to the city.
I am I'm just throwing myself on the mercy of you and the county executive and others to make sure that we get our fair share here in Newark to address the needs of the homeless population from throughout the county and, as you say, throughout the tri-state area as well. But with respect to this specific issue, it is one of the plans that we have in place to address our immediate needs. With respect to your concern about whether or not federal funds are going to be available over the next few years, this lease really addresses that because the first 2 years of the lease will be rent-free. And we expect that after 2 years, the likelihood that we'll get more resources from the federal government will improve rather than, what's the opposite of improve? Whatever the opposite of improve.
You must have a lot of political insight as what's going to happen in DC in the next few years.
We know that there'll be a midterm election, and our hope is that it will be better for us. Can't say for sure, but we know that the next 2 years we're solid.
And
Yeah, just,
Councilman
I sent you a couple of questions. If you could still respond to those questions, not today, but in an email or whatever it may be, because those were just my concerns about this.
Yeah, I want to do the best I can to respond to them today because my request is that we do not send this back to the administration. We do not defer, that we vote it up or down, move it forward, and we want your support. So I want to make sure that, I answer your questions as best I can. And I'm looking at the information that I have. You asked questions about who's going to run it. We're looking to contract an experienced nonprofit service provider to manage the space and provide the supportive services. We are working in collaboration, as Councilman Ramos says, with the county and other nonprofit entities to make sure we service the population fully. Yeah, there'll be an option to renew after, I thought it was after 12 years, but it says after 15 years is the answer that I have here. So we do essentially have a 15-year commitment. That is true, but it's always subject to the availability of funds. If we don't have the funds, if you don't appropriate it, we could terminate the agreement. Now, in all candor, if we terminate the agreement for a lack of funds, they still have an opportunity to sue us. So we'd have to deal with that. We'd have to deal with that lawsuit. But if it's a legitimate reason for us not to have the funds and a court will take into consideration whether or not we have done so in good faith or in bad faith, and that would be part of our defense going forward. Our expectation is we won't get to that point, but we have the right to terminate subject to a lawsuit on the other side as we move it forward. Did you have any other question that was specific that I didn't answer?
Whatever I sent you
Okay.
this morning.
I think I addressed it, but if I didn't address it satisfactorily, I want to address it satisfactorily to you if I can, so that we can move this matter forward.
Anything else from the council? So let me just ask this question, and I think you've said it a few times. Number one, the first 2 years of this agreement would be rent-free.
That's right.
We wouldn't have to pay. And I know there are conditions after that, and I believe you just mentioned. And if we do not move forward with it, it would cause a lack of beds for our homeless population, which we would have difficulty trying to figure out ways to house.
That's
Is
absolutely
that correct?
Absolutely, no question about it. We have an obligation to do our best to serve this population. This is certainly one of the things we're doing. And when I say that, I don't, I want to go back to Councilman Ramos. I fully am prepared to stand up here and take whatever questions you have. I think it's appropriate. That's your job. You have to make sure that we are entering into an agreement that is fiscally prudent, it makes sense, and relative to our obligation to address these residents and the impact they have on other residents who are housed if they're out on the street. You have to take that into consideration. And so by all means, ask your questions, whatever they are, to whatever degree.
Thank you. Any additional? Councilman Gonzalez? And then
How long would it take to rehabilitate the building for, let's say, the use that we intend to give to the building?
We expect that it'll take up to a year, but we'll be able to use the facility
So
during the
that
time.
it will not be, let's say, done on time for this year, winter season.
There's two ways to answer that question. The full rehabilitation will not be completed by this season, but there will be spaces available to house the unhoused during that period.
What kind of housing, let's say, permanent housing?
No, there will be some permanent housing when the full rehabilitation is done. But before the full rehabilitation is done, it will be emergency and transitional housing only. But at the end of it, there will be permanent housing, transitional housing, and emergency shelter.
And that housing cannot be provided anywhere else.
No, I
I
can't.
believe we have.
Sure, it can be provided elsewhere.
The building that we have, I believe on Raymond Boulevard, is that operational?
Which building? You're talking about the drop-in center?
Yes.
No, not yet. That's not operational yet.
So
And
I-
the drop-in center is not a housing center. That
But-
is,
But we can provide, let's say, the same services that we are going to be providing, like counseling and all that kind of service here that we can provide also, let's say, at the Riviera.
the drop-in center will have facilities for showering, clothes washing, social services that you're talking about, mental health screening, Veterans Affairs, ability for people to go in, other social services that will be available to people depending upon their circumstances, determinations as to whether or not they are out of county, out of city, out of state residents. So that portion of some of what will be done at the Riviera can be done at the drop-in center. They do similar things, but for different purpose, different immediate purposes.
And my last question is, in terms of providing temporary housing during the winter, have we contracted with somebody else? Because we know that we cannot provide that service at the Riviera. So have we contracted with somebody else to provide that service?
Yeah, we had RFPs out for all, the other nonprofit social services providers, none of whom can satisfy the full requirement individually. Collectively, there still will be a shortfall, but we do have some resources available. We will not be able to accommodate the needs fully unless we enter into this agreement. And I am happy to get suggestions for other places that we could find. But yes, we've had an RFP out there and we'll continue to go out for RFPs for other social service providers.
Thank you.
Councilman Kelly.
Thank you, Council Pres. Councilman, he kind of took my, my question. He got a lot of things that I wanted to hear as well. But during the rehabilitation, so there won't be, the residents won't be displaced.
No, my expectation is that they'll have at least 100 to 120 beds available during the renovation period.
And also during the rehabilitation, will there be, will the management be, different? Will the management and the operational offices, will they be changed? Will there be different management coming in once the rehabilitation is done?
Two questions. The current agreement is with Catholic Charities. It will be in place for at least another year. After that, we expect to go out for an RFP. It likely will be Catholic Charities again, but it may not be. It could be some other competent provider to make sure that the services that we need to accommodate that population is managed properly.
So for up to about a year, the management really won't change?
That you're talking about the management of the building with the social services providers?
Yes.
That's correct. You're right.
Thank you.
Anything else from the council? All right. Thank you, Mr. BA.
And I'd just like to reiterate, again, I apologize to Councilman Ramos for not getting his specific answers to him previously, but I'm available, always available. And if we need Director Alsbrook and or Director Ulario to meet with him or any other council members between now and tomorrow, we'll do so, and thereafter if necessary.
If any council members have questions, please reach out to the business administrator prior to the meeting tomorrow. Thank you. Next item.
Resolutions, 7RA through 71I are temporary emergency appropriations.
Questions from the council? Are you going to go through them all? Let's go through
Go
all
through
of
them?
them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seven R1J through 7R1R are bid contracts and purchasing agreements.
No, 7R1A through,
7R1J through 7R1R.
we haven't done A yet.
A through, and then start with J, A through I.
A and B together, right? Or you can do, yeah, you can do more than that.
Temporary emergency.
Yeah, do all the temporary appropriations.
I apologize.
A through I.
So would you like to go through each? Able with the appropriations?
7R1A through 7R1I, I believe, right? Yes.
Correct.
And-
Okay.
And then just-
71RA and 7R1B, to provide funding for the hiring of 15 police officers to address violent crime.
Keep going.
C and D, funding for overtime to address violent crime. E is to provide funds for the operating expenses until the adoption of the 2025 operating budget for water and sewer.
I went to ask the question that I always ask. Let's say the $61 million that we are appropriating for the budget. I received a letter. I don't know if you all received a letter that we are going to be fined $25 a month if we did not, at $25 a day if we did not submit the
No, it's off. Turn it back on. There you go.
we did not submit the budget by June 30th. Today is July 1st. I don't know if the administration has gotten an extension of that filing date. So I would love to hear from the BA what the plan is to submit the budget to us so that we can avoid having to pay a fine to the state.
All right, Mr. BA.
Absolutely, certainly. Eric Pennington, Business Administrator, to Councilman Gonzalez, to the Council President. We have requested two things. One, we've appealed the fine and we've requested an extension. The extension has not yet been granted, but I've had conversations with the Commissioner of DCA about whether or not we're going to be able to get continued assistance with respect to the shortfall as a result of our ongoing reval process and the equalization ratio. She and I have had those discussions. I have a call out now to the Governor's Chief of Staff to discuss that further. I expect to speak to him yesterday. I thought I was going to talk to him yesterday. That didn't happen. I'm hopeful that I will speak to him today. We will realize some savings through our changes in the healthcare plan that will offset that $29 million, but not enough. So reaching out again to the state. I expect to speak to the commissioner again after I speak to the chief of staff to see where we are. And my hope is to have a budget introduced somewhere around the middle of the month. I've spoken with the council president, and subject to the council's availability, either in the middle of the month or toward the end of the month, we'll ask for a special meeting to address that.
Okay, I just want to see the budget. Well, at least there is a resolution here calling for a 4.068 tax rate.
Yes.
Compared to the last year tax rate of 3.803.
That's right.
That give us a 0.0697 tax increase, 7% tax increase. Is that the contemplated tax increase that we are?
It is not. But I think it's important that until we know where we are with the state, that we use this number so that the third and the fourth quarter taxes that people get hit with are not so astronomically high that they can't handle it. It is our expectation that the increase will be less than that, but I don't know what that is. We don't know specifically what it's going to be. So we're going toward the higher end with this particular request right now. So there's not going to be as much of a sticker shock going forward.
Is that another, let's say, concession from the state, because we are supposed to only increase it by 2%?
We are, as I understand it, there are, inside the cap adjustments and outside the cap adjustments, and we have done within the law what we need to do under the circumstances, so as not to have as much of an adverse impact on the residents as possible. But it's not just a concession, it's what the law allows for.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any additional questions? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You're welcome.
Next, we are on 7R1F.
7R1F, New Jersey Forest Service Urban and Community Forestry Program. Workforce Investment Opportunity Youth and Dislocated Workers Program. H, to provide medical equipment to improve healthcare to delivery in the city of Newark. And I, Workforce Investment Opportunity Act, data reporting analysis allocation for 22 to 26.
Any questions, concerns from the council on any of those items? Hearing none, next item. I'm sorry, Council, Mr. BA.
Yeah, I apologize, Eric Pennington. I just want to go back and give, I think, a more complete answer to Councilman Gonzalez's question. A portion of that increase is going to be allocated to the county because of this $29 million shortfall. And that's why it is not an exception or what was the word, a concession from the state. It's really the allocation from the city as to where those funds are going. So a portion of it will go toward the county portion of the tax rate, where otherwise it would be on the city side. It would be more than what the state would ordinarily allow. Okay.
Yes,
Did you have any
Mr.
follow
B.
up on that? You okay with that?
Yeah, Mr. President. Last year, we had to pay that penalty because of the equalization problem that the city had. Is that also going to be paid in this year's budget?
It will, but it's not a penalty. It is the,
What's a penalty? Because we didn't do the revaluation, so the state
It's not-
imposed this additional,
not a penalty.
okay, whatever you want to call it.
No, but it's not imposed by the state. The equalization ratio is assessed based on the assessed value of the properties throughout the county. And so they equalize what the payments are supposed to be.
Well, since we didn't do reval,
That's
you know,
right.
we have to pay this additional.
Exactly.
How much is that in this year's budget?
We anticipate $29 million more than what it would be without this equalization ratio issue.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I just want to make sure it's not, penalty is, it just has a legal term. It is not a penalty in that sense. It's a penalty because our residents have to pay it ultimately, but.
Councilman Kelly.
Council President, I just want to go back to 7R1F.
Are we finished with the BNS? Thank you, Mayor.
I just wanted to go back to 71RF, the temporary emergency appropriation for the New Jersey Forest Service of Urban and Community Forestry.
Which one is that?
It is 7R1F.
Page 10.
Pardon me. It's 7R1F. It's from the temporary emergency appropriation of New Jersey Forest Service and Urban and Community Forestry. Now, I know this is to support the management of the trees, but this is not just for planting the trees, right? I know we're doing a massive planting around the city, but we still have situations, especially in wards like the West, that we have tree lines of residents complaining about stumps are still there, residents complaining that the trees are dead in some of the situations. And I know we have a moratorium on cutting down the trees, but there's still some instances where the trees are dead and they're causing problems with the sidewalks, and the residents want to fix them, but they can't because the trees haven't been let down. We just had one on Ivy Street where the branches, just thank God there wasn't any cars under it, fell to the street. And we have a lot of those in the West. So I just wanted to make sure that this appropriation still deals with some of the dead trees so that we can, prevent anybody getting hurt from walking, or the trees, if there's implemented weather, that the branches won't fall on somebody's car or fall on somebody and be fatal. And I know that we're just planting the trees mostly, but I hope that some of this money will be used to attack some of and manage those situations in the West that we still have a problem with.
Good morning, Eric Pennington, Business Administrator, to Councilman Kelly. Let me do two things. You're correct that these funds will be able to be used for the management of trees. But we'll go back to your sort of predicate statement about a moratorium on cutting down trees. There's a moratorium on cutting down live trees until we make sure that those trees are assessed. If there's a tree that's either dead or a live tree that is in a dangerous condition, it can be cut down in through our sustainability office and DPW. We still have our tree superintendent who is out there responding to requests, some of which have come from your office, to address those situations. It is not specifically designed for tree stumps in this particular case, but for tree management of the existing trees, and that includes cutting down dangerous trees. sick trees, trees that are about to fall, leaf trimming. I noticed that the public services in the audience, some of the trees that go through power lines have to be cut down by them or their contractors. And so we're working with them and they're doing a great job assisting us in addressing tree issues as well. So the concerns that you have raised, I don't know the specific ones that you're talking about, but the general concerns you have raised are being addressed, some of which will be addressed by this funding.
Okay, thank you. Yes, some of those issues have been addressed by the department, but one thing that still hasn't been addressed is the stumps. So this appropriation won't deal with any of the stumps?
I don't want to say not with any of them. Let's say, for example, there's a stump in a tree pit that we plan on planting trees and we have to remove that stump in order to do so. This funding can be used for that. But general stump removal, that is not what the intended purpose is for this funding. But we have other funding that we intend to use to address that. It is a long-term problem, and it's going to take some time to get addressed, but it is on the radar.
And I guess my last question too is, with this appropriation and with the management, we will be letting the residents know. I know we have them deal with the sidewalk to the curb, from the home to the curb. But when we do these appropriations of certain trees, we will let the residents know before we cut into the sidewalk, before we're cut into their sidewalks, right?
Yes, the plan is to make sure that there's adequate notice to the residents. To that question, I'm sure sustainability has a plan to get all this information out, but they are, I think, planted about 500 trees already during this period. And there was a concern that some residents said they were not notified that trees were being planted. New live trees were being planted. It is my understanding that they're actually going door to door in the neighborhoods where the planting is done, but we'll do a better job of that to make sure that it is out on social media, out through our communications, and that notices will be placed on the residences in the areas where trees will be planted and removed. To your point as well, the sidewalks are the responsibility of the homeowners, and we will work with them to the extent we can with grants that we have to address the sidewalks, but it is the homeowner's responsibility. And so we'll work with them and let them know and coordinate our efforts with theirs.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak for the South, but I know that the West and the South, Patrick Council, I know he's probably been getting some of the complaints too. When you say the sidewalks are the problems of the resident, we have to let them know if it's the problem of the resident, then we have to let them know that we're cutting into their problems. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
I just want to, because I got a couple of calls on that, so I just want to make sure if it's their responsibility when we deal with their sidewalk, we need to let them know it's our responsibility to let them know.
No question. Your office and Councilman Silva's office is vigilant about letting our office know what is going on, and we respond, as well as the rest of you, but you two in particular.
Thank you. Yeah.
Councilwoman Scott Roundtree.
Yes, thank you, Council President. It's their sidewalk, but our tree that's lifting their sidewalk that they have to pay to repair because our tree, someone with their planning some many years ago decided that when we plant trees that they were not looking into the future, of course, to see that insurance, the homeowners are affected when sidewalks are lifted. So they can't even properly get insurance because of our tree that's planted that's lifting their sidewalk. So I'm hoping that we will find some type of relief for homeowners for their sidewalk that our tree has lifted that affects their insurance. And I just wanted that on the record.
Since it is on the record, I think I'm compelled to respond. I think you are right that we have to have a good forestry plan in the city with our urban forester to make sure that the appropriate types of trees are planted so that they are trees that are consistent with an urban environment and don't lift up, where tree roots don't go into sewers and drains and sidewalks. I just have to say that all of those trees that were planted were not all planted by the city. Some of those trees were planted by residents and they weren't the right tree. They weren't the right kind of tree. And now we are responsible for removing them, but the homeowner does remain responsible for the sidewalk. we have the forester, we have the urban management plan that we have for trees, ensures that the type of tree that is planted is not going to have an expansive root system, that it should not extend into the street, that it shouldn't grow taller than necessary, particularly if it's under wires. And all those things are now being managed jointly with the Office of Sustainability and Department of Public Works. So your points are well taken, and we are responding to that.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Councilman Council.
Yeah, I don't want to belabor the point, but I think it's critical that communication needs to happen between the Office of Sustainability with the residents in the community. Folks should not be coming home with contractors cutting into the curb, because we set a double standard if we are telling residents that they're responsible from 18 inches to the curb. If their curb abuts or lifts up, we're asking them to do the work around it before we come out and administrate care to the tree. And then we're asking them to cover it up. But then they have to come home and find somebody cutting the curb, expanding it to place a tree there without any kind of communication is just egregious upon us. We have to do a better job at communicating to the residents and making sure that we meet with them. I'm quite sure if we do so, no one would fight the need and the necessity of making sure that we have trees. But the communication has to be better. And then after we do it, to try to take this kind of laissez-faire attitude, like, well, it's already done, it's also egregious to the resident, because when we're asking to remove a tree, because their sidewalk is lifted up, we want that resident to do the repair prior to us removing the tree or after removing the tree, but we don't show any consideration. So we have to show some consideration, some kind of decency when we move out. And I think, just having that kind of communication just means a lot moving forward. I'm asking that the Office of Sustainability, before they send contractors or anyone out there, meet with the neighborhood and folks in those neighborhoods about what's going to happen or what is about to happen, so that they are aware of what's going on. That's just my request.
Absolutely. I concur with everything that you have said. It is my understanding that there are some residents who believe that they were not adequately notified, and they should be. We have to have good communication through door-to-door efforts if necessary, but certainly community meetings as well. And to your point, and to Councilman Kelly's point, if you have any specific instances that you want to bring to my attention, I think you have brought some, but if you have others, I'm happy to address them and make sure that our sustainability and DPW address it. I say one final point on that. I just got a text while I was up here that there apparently are 715 tree stumps in the system, and we are working our way through those tree stumps to get them addressed, many of which are in the West Ward. So we are on, and the South Ward. So we are working on that.
Anything else from the council? Thank you, Mr. B.A.
Thank you.
Next items.
7R1J through 7R1R are bid contracts and purchasing agreements. J is maintenance and repair trucks over 1 ton capacity. 7R1K to provide recreational bus transportation services to the elderly senior coach. 7R1L, rental of chairs, table folding, wood and metal, and 10 heaters. 7R1M to provide health education materials. N to provide asphalt and concrete mix, hot and cold laid. O to provide automotive cleaners and fluids. P to provide office furniture and installation. Q to provide meals for the 25 Sunup summer food program. And 7R1R is to purchase hypochlorite, liquid sodium, to use in the municipal swimming pools.
Questions from the council? Councilman Gonzalez. Your mic is off. Your mic is off, Councilman.
On J, the dollar sign is missing on the 700,000.
Contract amount, the dollar sign.
Noted.
Okay.
We call that a Scribner's error. Let's move on.
Yeah, Mr. President.
Councilman Ramos.
I see the asphalt contract. Can we get an update on the paving situation? I know the director had mentioned that there was an issue with a contribution that the city has to make as a match for some of the grants that's preventing us from paving streets. So I don't know if that's been resolved, and maybe just provide us an updated schedule when she gets an opportunity. That takes us through the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't need
So
to.
through
Yeah.
the clerk's office, let's get an update for the paving. Next item.
7R1S is a donation of public works equipment coordinated with Sister City. This item is sponsored by Councilman Quintana.
Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Gonzalez. Councilman? Councilman Quintana. All right. Next item. I'm sorry, Councilman Kelly.
Just a quick question, Councilman. When we donate machinery like this, I think you might have answered this. I'm just not sure. Who foots the bill for sending it to?
The bill is concurred by the government or that entity, and with a resolution from us and sent to the State Department, so that resolution, when we're applying for grants or so, that we get credit towards what we're doing. But the transportation is concurred by that government, not our government. This means a foreign country or whatever it may be.
And these vehicles are no longer usable for the city of.
Those vehicles are very heavy, and that's a cost. So we're probably going to spend some time in rebuilding them and putting them together. So right now they're sitting around doing nothing but taking space. Someone else can utilize them.
Thank you, Councilman. Next item.
7R2A is the 2025 annual budget for the Bergen Lions Clinton Special Improvement District.
Questions from the council? Hearing none, next item.
Public hearing will be held tomorrow and regular meeting.
Yes.
7R2B through 7R2F are private sale redevelopments. B, new construction of a multifamily home to sell at market rate in the South Ward.
Question, Councilman Gonzalez, is that you?
According to
I can't hear you.
according to Councilman Council, he's okay with this.
Okay, got a note. Anything, all right, next item.
7R2C is a new construction of 2 multifamily homes and 3 affordable units and 2 market rate units in the West Ward.
I'm good with it, Council President.
7R2D.
Wait, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear anything.
I'm sorry, I said I'm good with this, Council President.
Okay, next item.
7R2D is a new construction of a 2-family home to sell at an affordable rate in the West Ward.
Yes, I'm good with this move forward as well.
All right, thank you. Next item.
7R2E, authorizing execution of the Second Amendment to the agreement for the sale and redevelopment of 140 and 166 Raymond Boulevard in the East Ward.
Any questions from the council? Councilman Gonzalez.
Yeah, I don't have a question on this one. I have a question on the previous 2 that are going to build and rent affordable housing. I just want to make sure that we, as a city, have some way of controlling or determining that that's in fact the case. Because once the property is built and we don't have people to go there and check that they are in fact renting it for affordable prices, I believe we have to do better than just approve here. Somebody has to check that the rentals are being made at affordable prices.
Councilman Kelly.
I think Councilman Gonzalez is absolutely right, and we do have those stipulations in place now with the rent control office here in City Hall. I've dealt with them several times with different properties, and they've been excellent because before we had those stipulations in place, Councilman Gonzalez is right. We didn't have anybody going to check them out. And I've utilized them for properties in the West Ward specifically. So, and this is one of the reasons why I moved it forward, because I probably, I've learned from Councilman Gonzalez, you got to make sure you check that assessed amount. And when I actually checked this out, it was good. And this is a person who grew up on the block, works for the city, so it's helping our own have ownership in the city of Newark. And I think that's a great thing to do. So Councilman Gonzalez is exactly right. We now can check that through our rental assistance department right here in the City Hall.
Any other?
Mr. President?
Councilman Ramos.
Yeah, is there like a deed restriction that's incorporated when they sell it? Just to make sure, like, I understand the role of rent control, but, what prevents them 5 years down the road to, rent a vacant apartment at market? And then rent control can still make sure that they don't increase rents beyond CPI or 3%, but what kind of restriction is included in the sale of this property that prevents the owner from converting these units into market rate?
Deputy Mayor.
Yes, Council President, Council Members, Allison Ladd, Director of Economic and Housing Development. So there are two things related to private sales that occurs. The first is that there is a deed restriction that's attached and actually recorded when we transfer the property from the city of Newark to the purchaser. I will say that the deed restriction works because we get several requests about deed restrictions when the owner would like to sell. And at that point, the deed restriction has already sunset. So there's no longer a deed restriction at that time. And so at that moment, then we're able to release the deed restriction. But that's usually 15, 20, 30 years down the road. And we have seen that recently because of properties that have been built, decades ago. Second, we also instituted a certificate of completion. Some of you, either in the community or on council, may have heard about this. Our Office of Compliance actually handles all requests for certificates of completion. There are about 10 items that the purchaser has to provide to the city in order to get their certificate of completion. And that includes things like the taxes need to be current, they need to have paid water and sewer, they need to have done photographs. We also send out our team to review the properties and make sure that they're actually built. And then in closing though, then in order for us to release the certificate of completion, all of those things are reviewed, and then we will sign the certificate of completion, and that allows the developer to move ahead with selling the property. But until that point, as you know, through the redevelopment agreement, their reverter clause stays in place until they get a certificate of completion. So developers now are asking for that on a regular basis because they want to be able to move to sell and or rent. Oh, and I'm sorry, one more thing to Councilmember Ramos's point. The last part is that now with the change for rent control, where 1 to 4 unit buildings are now under rent control as of a couple years ago, now all units have to, and owners have to also register with rent control. And so we have seen an uptick in those registrations since the law was passed. And we also now require an inspection of all of the units to ensure that they're habitable and not just available. And so that is done through our code enforcement officer in a partnership with Economic and Housing Development. And if there's any data that we can provide, we're happy to share that with you.
Thank you. Any follow, Councilman Silva?
Sorry, just on that 7R2E, the Raymond Boulevard.
Yes.
What's the intent? I know it's down by the turnpike and stuff like that. What's the intent for the use of that property?
Yes, Council President, would it be okay for me to reply to that question? Because I didn't know if you were
We already-
finished on the first.
Yeah, if there's nothing else, you can come.
Okay, I just wanted to defer to you. Thank you. So to the question asked, it's going to be a warehouse development. And the owner will actually has done more development in the city, in the East Ward in particular. And we send them have good clients being able to come in and lease those long-term properties. And so that's what we're expected to see on that site.
If you could have them reach out from my office, please. I'd like to
Oh,
set up a
yes.
meeting with them.
It'd be my pleasure. I know the legal counsel for the redeveloper is present in chambers, and so I'm sure they're hearing that as well, and I'll ensure that that happens.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anything else from the council? Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thanks, Council President.
All right, next item.
7R2F is a private sale, an agreement to subordinate the City of Newark reverter rights in order to permit the redeveloper to obtain financial necessary for the redevelopment of an affordable mid-rise multifamily residential building in the South Ward.
Questions from the council? Hearing none. Next item.
7R2G, professional service contract to provide professional architecture, civil, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection, and structural engineering design services to the Kauaii Towers.
Questions from the council? Hearing none.
President.
Did you say something?
Which item are you on now?
7R2G, page 27.
So is this property owned by the city? Because I remember some years ago, we approved some kind of a abatement or for a private owner. I believe it was Omni that owned this property.
Yeah. Deputy Mayor?
Yes. Hi, Council President. Good morning, and council members. Kauaii Towers, you are correct. It was approved several years ago, and when the company was purchased by a new owner, they were unable to meet the city's requirements to move forward with the project. And so through legal counsel and with our business administrator, we unfortunately had to terminate the agreement with that group. And so we are no longer in a business relationship with Omni or their successor, which is Nuveen, and that group is out of New York. So we were disappointed that we weren't able to bring to you instead a request to add them to the ownership because we wanted to move quickly. But to close on good news, our goal now with the site is, yes, we still own it. And we would like to hire this architect so that we can design affordable condos in our downtown. So that is the goal, and our architect is present, OCA Architects, and we've been talking to them about designing affordable condos. And then the last element is that we are looking to utilize some funding that this council approved our ability to accept from the late Congressman Payne. He dedicated about $8 million to the city for us to be able to fund affordable housing. And so our goal is to use those dollars to help us build this project.
So the property's reverted back to the city, or it's in the process of?
Very fair question, Council President, to that question. We never closed, so the city owned the property. We were in the process of closing when the owner actually was bought.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So the city will be the developer of this project?
At this time, that is our goal. We believe we may have to do a joint venture. And so, but we wanted to have something significant to explain to any partners that would be interested in working with us.
And the firm was selected how, the architect for this?
OCA Architects. They were selected as a professional service, so we did not need to go out through a competitive process.
And they have experience in designing these kind of projects?
Yes, we've been very pleased, I think, as a city. I don't want to speak on behalf of the administration, but I guess I am doing that as well. But I do believe that we've seen them do a lot of great work. They were also the architects for the West Ward Center that recently opened. They did that project, and they've done a few others on behalf of both Invest Newark and the city of Newark as a whole.
Councilman Gonzalez.
You referred to condos. Are we selling them or?
Yes, that is our goal, is to sell the properties to homeowners. Currently, our plan is to do 80% of AMI and below. And so that would be why the city wants to be a true partner in this project.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the council? Seeing none or hearing none, next item. Thank you,
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
7R2J through 7R2K is acceptance of grant funds to acceptance of Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. K is to provide an acceptance of Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act Data Reporting and Analysis Fund. L is an investigation for area in need of redevelopment in the South Ward.
Any questions from the council? Hearing none, next item.
7R2M is individual training account training services, amending resolution to increase the grant contract amount.
I'm sorry, did you skip L? I didn't hear L.
Skip down?
Your mic is off.
I'm lost in what item are you on, clerk?
I think it should be
are in M.
7R2L.
7R2M as a Mary?
Correct.
Did you do L? I didn't hear L.
Yeah, could I just be noted as a sponsor for 7R2I? This is the greenway that's going through the North Ward, 9.5-mile track that connects
For the I?
Montclair to Jersey City, yeah. So this is granting the state access to build this greenway along the old Conrail line.
Second.
Ramos Gonzalez.
Thank you.
Did I just skip it? No,
So we're-
okay.
He's moving fast.
You did.
For L, am I correct? Am I incorrect? Maybe I missed it. I didn't hear L. Okay,
Yes.
7R2L.
Mr. President, it seems that the whole South Ward is going to be designated.
That whole corridor.
It seems.
Any questions on 7R2L? All right, hearing none, next item.
7R2M is an individual training account training services, amending resolution to increase the grant contract amount.
Questions on the council? Hearing none, next item.
7R2N, submission of updated recreation and open space inventory to New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection.
Questions from the council? Next item.
7R3A is a big contract to provide the modernization of elevators at City Hall.
Questions from the council? I'm shocked. Next item.
7R4A through 7R4D are settlements for tax appeals. We will pick up on page 44.
Next item.
7R4D as well. We pick up on 45, tax collector to issue estimated tax bill for the third quarter of 25.
Questions from the council? Additional ones? Hearing none, next item.
7R4F is application, acceptance of $7.4 million of the zone assistance funds and transfer them to the Zone Development Corporation.
Questions from the council? Next item.
7R5A through 7R5C, a contract with grant recipients to provide emergency shelter services, homelessness prevention, and/or rapid rehousing assistance in the city. A will be the YMCA of Newark. B will be the Urban League of Essex County. C will be HBP Rain Foundation.
Questions? I'm sorry. You said
And D will be Newark Best Israel.
questions from the council? All right, hearing none, next item.
7R6A through and 7R6B and C are requested to be deferred.
A through E deferred.
A through E, C.
I mean C.
A,
C is in
B, C.
Charles. C is in Charles, excuse me, right?
A, B, C.
Okay.
7R6D is a settlement of legal litigation to be discussed in executive session. 7R6E, settlement of workers' compensation as well, and 7RF, pre-litigation settlement as well, and 7R6G, pre-litigation settlement to be discussed. in executive session.
Okay.
7R6H is professional services contract.
Any questions? Next item.
7R8A is an appointment to the Second River Joint Meeting. The name of the appointee is Council Member Carlos Gonzalez.
Next item.
B, appointment to the Joint Meeting Maintenance, Councilman Ramos.
Next item.
C, declaring intent to dedicate football field at Nat Turner Park, sponsored by Council President Crump.
Can I get a second on that? Second by Councilman Quintana. Next item.
7R8D, declaring intent to rename Richwood Park to Paulette Jones Legacy Park, sponsored by Councilman Council.
I want to second that.
Second by Councilman Kelly. Next item.
7R8E is waiving special application permit fee for the Brick City Jam, sponsored by Council President Crump.
You got a second?
Second.
Who said that? That was Councilman Kelly. Next item.
7R8F is waiving special event application permit fees for the Welcome of the West Ward Block Party, sponsored by Councilman Kelly.
I'll second that. Next item.
7R8G, waiving special event application fees for Corpus Christi Walk, sponsored by Councilman Patrick Council.
I'll second that one too.
8H is a ceremonial street designation to Riviera Galante Funeral Home. This is sponsored by Councilwoman Scott Roundtree.
Is there a second on it?
Second.
Councilman Silva seconds. Next item.
7R8I is a hold harmless and indemnification agreement for the senior summer barbecue, sponsored by Councilman Ramos.
Second.
Second by Councilman Quintana. Next item.
7R8J, accepting a gift, monumental statue of Juan Pablo Duarte.
I want to sponsor that.
Second.
Sponsored by Kelly. I didn't get the second. It was about a second, Scott Roundtree.
7R8K is a contract agreement to consent to the assignment of the contract of legal services for election matters.
Any questions? Next item.
7R8L is recognizing and commending. 7R8M, a profound sorry and regret.
Questions? Next item.
Sorrow and regret.
Councilman Kelly.
Yes, can we add Anthony Johnson to sorrow and regret, please? Johnson, yeah, Anthony Johnson.
Anthony Johnson.
Certainly.
So we'll have to amend that on the floor and then vote on the amendment.
7R9A and 7R9B are contracts. Contract with state agency to provide emergency medical services and to ensure interconnectivity between the City of Newark emergency operations.
Questions or concerns from the council? Councilman Ramos. Yeah, Mr. President, I just want to take this opportunity. I know for a number of years, I've been relaying some of the concerns that we receive from residents, managers from our various senior buildings about the response time when it comes to ambulance services. And some years back, St. Michael's Hospital had purchased a number of ambulances to add to the rotation of ambulances that our EMS services would have available. And for a number of reasons, that offer was never included as part of our dispatch services for EMS. And I really have to thank the new president of University Hospital. In a very short period of time, she took years of indecision and just inability to kind of move this forward, and has now established a partnership that I believe will benefit the residents of our city, whether it's St. Michael's Hospital or other individuals or hospitals in the future that decide to make an investment to add ambulances to the rotation. So I just want to commend her for her leadership, for making this happen in a very short period of time. So,
Oh, that's great.
and I would like to support this tomorrow.
Thank you, Councilman.
Second.
Anything else? Oh, Councilwoman Scott Roundtree, you're off.
I actually want to go back to the sorrow and regret, and amend,
So let's just, and I just want to make sure
That's-
everybody's good. We're clear with 7R 9A. I want to finish that up first.
Yeah.
Say something on 7R,
And
and then we'll come back to you, Councilwoman.
in terms of the UMD&J, and I'm glad that this is taking place, but in the Board of Trustees, there needs to be some diversity. So through your presidency, there is no diversity in terms of the Hispanic community has no representation for the last 10 years or so. So I'm encouraging that there be some participation and that there's full diversity on a Board of Trustees. The late Ramon Rivera was one of those persons who fought with Stanley Bergen at the time so that there would be representation across. And it has been so long, 10 years or more, that there's no representation. And it's not, I don't know if there's no one you could find or there's no one, but I think there's a lot of folks that could be members of the Board of Trustees of UMD&J. The agreement of 68 agreed, the agreement was that there would be full representation of Newark. And again, the late Ramon Rivera, the founder of La Casa San Pedro, who fought the fight at the time with the late Donald Tucker and others, who fought for making sure that there was representation. But I'm opposed that that institution doesn't have a full diversity of what this community represents. So I'm urging that there be some representation, in the Board of Trustees of that entity.
Thank you, Councilman. And through the clerk's office, let's extrapolate these comments and send a letter to University Hospital and the president regarding diversity with the Board of Trustees. Councilman Kelly.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to thank the CEO for meeting with us and having great conversation. And you know, people say a lot, but the results and the actions stand. You know, I think that she's a woman of her word, and I have no reason to believe otherwise. I think one of the things that speaking of representation, like the councilman said, I really want to see that happen. I want to see more diverse representation. But even in the educational components, as we talked about before, you know, we have a lot of residents here and young people who usually don't choose the hospital career, with university being right here, right in the middle of their backyard, because they don't know how, or they don't know how to go about it. And I love the programming that we're doing at Westside High School with getting youth from 10th grade, 11th grade involved early. I think that if we can continue to keep our foot on the gas with those type of programs, where they get their associate's degrees in certain high schools here in Newark, that the medical career at University Hospital is offered to them, not just the doctor or the RN nurse. We want that too, but the other jobs that actually help the hospital run, because without those people running the hospital, the doctors and the nurses would probably work somewhere else. So I just want to see those programs continue under your leadership and actually thrive. So thank you for that meeting too.
Yeah, Mr. President.
Councilman Ramos.
Yeah, I was remiss to thank Eric as well for helping out with this EMS situation. I know he got beat up a few times here, so I show him a little love today, not too much.
Congratulations, Eric. All right.
That's some love.
Just to concur with everybody, I kind of, I appreciate the new interim president coming and coming not only before the council, but being out in the community already. And I mean, really hit the ground running. It's important that as a community hospital that you are in the community, and we appreciate what you're doing so far. We'll see how it goes. No, I'm sure. We appreciate what you're doing and just want to thank you also. Next item.
Excuse me.
Oh, I thought you, oh, I apologize. Forgive me. Oh, I get that look. Excuse me, Councilwoman. We're going back. What one did you go back to?
Since we're on the university, UMD&J, I too want to thank the CEO and the biggest advocate for UMD&J, Brooke Tippins, for meeting with some very key leaders. That is one of many meetings that will take place. That's not the only one. And she tried to leave, whether you guys know it or not. She had given a date, and for some reason, it's not good to just leave people hanging in the air when you've come to fill a space temporarily without any plan for the future. So thank you for deciding to stay. And as Councilman Crump has stated, we pray that as we go forward, that the conditions will be better for the people, that the hospital will continue to serve the community, because while they're trying to shut down more entities, that is our community hospital. So as long as the community is being serviced properly, our conditions are improving, we applaud you for moving in that direction. Thank you. That's that.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And now you have that other matter.
Right. The other matter is we have an officer that transitioned, that used to be a part of EPU, Richie Williams. So I'd like to, Richard Williams, I would like to add him to our profound sorrow and regret. We also have a resident that lived in the West Ward for 60 years and has a house of worship in the South Ward for 48 years. And that is Elder Cooper. She's transitioned. I think Officer Williams' funeral is Thursday at St. James, and I'll probably announce it again tomorrow. And then we have a sanitation worker who also transitioned. His name was Eugene Vick. He is the brother of a pastor, and they're also working on, his arrangements have been already shared, but I want to express profound sorrow and regret, and make sure that we follow through on giving condolences to the whole Department of Sanitation as well as the city of Newark on a tremendous loss of an individual who committed. So just add those three names, please. Thank you. Thank you so much, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Next item.
7R9C through 7R9E, acceptance of grant funds. C will be 2024 Drunk Driving Enforcement Fund. D and E are both funding for overtime to address violent crime.
Any questions on those? Go back. We didn't do B. All right. Okay. So we're going to go back. Any questions on those three items, C, D, and E? Hearing none, let's go back to 7R2B.
9B.
You skipped 7R2B.
9.
7R9B, excuse me. That's right.
7R9E
E as in
is
boy.
funding for overtime addressing violent crime.
E as in boy.
And B as in boy. 7R9B, to ensure interconnectivity between the City of Newark's Emergency Operations Center and the City Mobile EOC and state federal agencies.
Any questions on that? All right, hearing none. Let's go to, I'm sorry, Councilman Kelly.
Just one question. So with this, we will be
Which one are you referring to?
to 7R9B.
Okay.
So with this, what type of, I know this is for prepared readiness by Homeland Security. What type of meetings, what type of notifications or marketing or promotion will be given? We're in some crazy times right now, and I've been hearing a lot from different residents about prepared readiness. You know, I know that we have a resident that comes in and has been talking about it for years. We're in those times that we really need to pay attention. So what type of preparedness will the city be doing to prepare the residents to be prepared for home readiness? Like, will there be marketing? Will there be motion? Will there be community meetings? Will there be professionals, the, first responders coming out, letting us know, or letting the residents know what's going on.
I'm looking over at public safety.
He's coming.
I know, I think in the past they've had uh, training with the community,
Yeah.
the community in the past, OEM has.
I know around COVID time, we did some
But
mock things with public safety, with ambulances and.
Good morning,
afternoon.
Council
Good morning.
President.
Yeah.
Director Leo Quill, Newark Police Division. To answer Councilman Kelly's question regarding community outreach, we, on the police division side, we have regular meetings. Precinct captains all have monthly meetings where they engage the community on a regular basis. In terms of the OEM side of the house, there are training opportunities, things like the CERT program, Citizens Emergency Response Team programs that they have training. We also have Public Safety Youth Academy, Public Safety Community Workshops that we do where we bring in OEM fire. And again, we have these programs. We just had a graduation recently, and we have a new class starting up in September as well.
I think thank you. But I think I know we have community meetings. We have a lot of community meetings with public safety in the West. I'm not particularly talking about those meetings because those meetings usually just talk about the crime in the area and parking and things of that nature. I'm talking about prepared readiness for disasters, prepared readiness for those type of things for the, for the residents. Should we get masks? Should we, oxygen mask? Will OEM have some type of prepared readiness community meetings where we start having those type of meetings, or sending the residents to websites to find out, how do we prepare for disasters that we've never faced before?
Just in case.
Council President, yeah, I'll definitely look back into OEM to see what other programs they may be going, and maybe areas we could explore.
And
to push forward.
please provide us with that information.
And one
Yes, sir.
more question.
I'm sorry, go ahead,
Council
Councilman
President.
Kelly.
And will this money, I guess not if we don't know, right? Will this money be some of it be used for that prepared readiness to let the residents know, to inform them for community outreach for the OEM side, not just public safety meetings in our community, because we do that. I think all the council members do that. But prepared readiness for disasters, will some of this money go for outreach for that?
Yes, so Council President, specifically for this item, this is to have interconnectivity between the EOC Center at 480 Clinton Avenue to the mobile unit. So it's to build the technology to be able to communicate between the mobile vehicle and the actual office at 480. So that's what this specifically is about. But I could certainly sort of over that broader question to see what more could be done and what is being done now. Beyond what I had answered.
And I definitely understand that it's for the mobile connectivity, and that's communications, right? So I definitely think that it correlates with having communication with the residents in terms of a disaster. We definitely want the money to be able to have these mobile units prepared if there's a disaster. So it kind of goes with my question, just to see, I think that we really, as public safety, have to start paying more attention in these times to those type of things.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Scott Roundtree, before you go.
So I'm not asking the question because the question's been asked by the public quite a few times. Thank you, Council President, about what have we done? What are we doing? What if this happened? What if that happened? Is there a plan? So what I'm asking for is like a plan. Like, can you present a plan? I know we've gone through Sandy, we've gone through Katrina, we've gone through all of that, and even COVID that just came upon us, and we had to do OJT, on the job training, and learn, and we did really good, thanks be to God. I mean, we lost a lot of folk, but if in instance of what's going on around the world today, I thank God that nothing has hit New Jersey, Newark, or the United States. But with what's going on in the country, we just should have our people prepared home in our own state. The larger, so I'm asking like for a plan. Can we start looking at plans in the event. People talk about shelters, they talk about all of these different things, and they've come to this meeting over the years. So now that we're talking about prepared readiness, and we're talking about houses of worship being attacked and all of this, but people live in homes that if something was to attack, where would they go? They can't but dig a hole in the ground, and I mean, like, where would they go? So we have no escape plan, we have nothing in the biggest state of New Jersey. So I'm not asking, is any money being used for it? I'm asking, can we start looking at a plan for prepared readiness in the event of what Councilman Kelly is saying? A disaster, not a rainstorm, even with that, with Katrina, the city just went black. We was walking around, couldn't even get enough light with a flashlight. So we do need to start thinking about prepared readiness and have a plan just in case. So we will be ready, because right now, if something were to happen, I'm not speaking and I'm praying that God covers us, and if we don't, we have to pray for those countries like Iran and all these other places that are Palestine, all these places. And I thank God that we have it, and I'm praying for those people. But in the United States of America, Newark, New Jersey does not have an escape, a shelter, none of those plans. So I'm just saying, can we try to, while we're getting money to talk about it, can we try to find a way to be about thinking about a plan for be prepared for a real disaster? That's all. Thank you so much, Director. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Quintana.
Yes.
To just, if I may, Council President, to just respond to Reverend Councilwoman Roundtree. We absolutely have internally an emergency action plan, an emergency operation plan. It addresses multiple disasters, things from plane crashes to the river overflowing to, so it's a variety of things. But I absolutely hear the sort of the broader question, which is to bring the community in. It's a lot of things that we have worked with in the police department to have the community have a voice in terms of our policies. We did that on the police side of it. And I'm hearing that, to bring the community in for this emergency action plan as well. So I'm absolutely hearing and makes sense to work towards that.
Yeah, Director, and a couple of years ago, some years ago, with Councilman Gonzalez, President, myself, and there was sets of groups that went down to Texas. And we were in session and class. We were discussing from policy, what happens in the disaster. We were there for 2 days. And there were some residents who went to Texas at the time. It was in Austin, and in which we were shown what would happen with and then they came back to the police headquarters, which some of that money that came for the Bergen Street, the agreement was from Homeland Security. That was Congressman Payne who made sure that happened. And with that, we went to Texas to two sessions. Those 2 sessions were great because we were in groups. We were discussing what would happen. How are we going to act? From the business administrator at the time to the mayor, how everyone was going to, and the residents, how residents were going to help. If something happened at Penn Station, Newark, what would happen? Where were the hospitals? And all this was a plan. And going back to that, I think we need to look at in the budget, in terms of grants from the Homeland Security, where we can go back to these courses, because they were, for me, it was very instrumental. We were there for 2 days. There was no vacation. There's not a vacation. Everybody thought we were going on vacation. There was no vacation. This is not a conference. We went from morning to evening, and we were there to understand what would occur. We had EMTs there. We had UMD&J was there with us. The fire department, every entity was there. So again, we need to find some kind of grant that can help us here locally or with Homeland Security. We have an airport. We have all the major highways in this city, and we are not prepared. We were prepared when that plan came, and to the business administrator. The business administrator at the time, Judge Niels, was very involved with that, and there was a plan what would happen from the police. And then after the training, we were at Urban Street to rehearse what would happen if something occurred at the arena, if something happened at Penn Station, the airport, how we're going to deploy our people, how the policy folks we're going to start getting contracts from contracts, because when you have a crisis, you have to have contracts. So again, we need to look at that. And residents went in that grant, the city employees from different aspects. And we need to look at that possibility again.
Yeah, let me just add, I agree with Councilman Quintana. That was an excellent program, TEEX. And it taught us a lot down there about what we did not know or would not know in an emergency situation. And the follow-up that we had here on Bergen Street, Clinton Ave, was also a great thing. I think and it helped in terms of what we would do in terms of the safety of residents and also the continuity of government and moving forward. But I think and I think I hear from the council is, what about the residents in terms of what they know, not what we tell them, but what they should know on their own. So I think that should be something that we look into to find a way, just like we do the clergy program and we do other programs. We should really work on doing something with that. And with that being said, thank you very much.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Council.
All right. Next item.
7R9C through E are acceptance of grant funds.
I'm sorry, where you are? What'd you say? 7R?
Channels.
I didn't hear the number you were.
Page 61.
We're on page 63, actually.
Okay, we don't go over it.
7R9.
Page 63.
What number are we on?
7R12A.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, all right.
Is to execute contract change order for the rehab of the Pequannock Aqueduct.
Questions from the council? Next item.
7R12B to provide supply delivery of water purification chemicals to the city of Newark's Pequannock Water Treatment Plant.
Questions from the council? Next item.
Communications, 8A through 8H are reappointments to the Newark Equitable Growth Advisory Commission. A, Mr. Gerard Crowder. B, Ms. Deborah Smith Gregory. C, Mr. Antonio Valla. D, Mr. David Trout. E, Ms. Judith Thompson Morris. F, Dr. Kevin Lyons. G, Ms. Aisha Clover. H, Mr. Richard Camameri.
Any questions?
Yeah, Council President, I would like to sponsor 8B, 8G, and 8H.
I'll second.
All right. Make it easy, council.
And 8K, I'm sorry.
Scott Roundtree will second all of those to make it easy. All right. And what was the last one? I'm sorry,
8K?
We already did that one.
Oh, we already did that one.
Yeah, we did that one already. Okay. Next item.
8I and 8K were discussed earlier today. 8L is an ordinance granting a 30-year tax abatement to the Sheila Y. Oliver Senior Housing Community for a project to construct a 5-story residential building providing 100% affordable senior housing consisting of 48 senior housing units comprised of 42 units to be rented at 60% of AMI, 5 units to be dedicated and rented to seniors with special needs at 20% of AMI in the South Ward.
Thank you. Let's advance and adopt this matter. Any other questions, concerns about this? Next item.
8M is an ordinance amending Title 8, Business and Occupations, booting or removal of vehicle on private property to update boom boot, immobilization regulations, and adopt fees.
Mr. President.
Councilman Ramos.
Yeah, I just want to thank the clerk's office, the administration, in particular the Department of Public Safety. We worked on this in a few weeks when we looked at the city's towing ordinance that we adopted a few years ago as far as regulations. It was silent when it came to booting. And we know that this is a common complaint that we get from residents, especially those individuals who've been booted on private property. There are no restrictions in terms of the fees. Sometimes they are being booted by operators that are not licensed within the city of Newark, who do not display, appropriate, apparel identifying their employer or the company that they represent. There are sliding fees that are charged. If you're booting a minivan, it could be double the amount of money from a regular vehicle, even though essentially it's the same boot that's being installed. So what this ordinance does, it sets a maximum amount that the booters can charge. It requires them to be licensed with the city of Newark. It requires them to call in to the police division when they do boot a vehicle, because oftentimes residents will call the police if their car is towed or booted. There is a mandatory 24-hour hotline that they have to have in order to immediately release the boot from the vehicle if the resident calls. So I think this does a lot to really safeguard our residents and at the same time curb some of these very illegal practices that unfortunately happen in our community when it comes to the private booters. So I'd like to advance and adopt this if I could.
Sure.
Just a quick question, Council President.
Councilman
Council
Kelly.
Ramos. I definitely love this ordinance, but we have a situation going on at Georgia King Village where they're booting UPS trucks. They're booting delivery vans, FedEx trucks. And I know this ordinance deals with the booting or removal on vehicles on private property, and Georgia King Village is a private property. Is there stipulations in there for delivery vans, delivery trucks, like a UPS, a FedEx, because it's getting ridiculous over there.
Yeah.
And I think that there should be some type of grace or understanding, or we need to put it into the ordinance that, if they're delivering and they can prove that this is delivery, that they should not be booted.
Yeah, we can look at it before we adopt it on second reading. So just remind me, and I'll work with Deputy Director Carrillo to see if we could add some language.
Please, yes.
I mean, the only thing would be if there are residents who are in the delivery business and they park in those parking lots, then, we just have to make sure that they are in fact, that we're protecting those individuals that are popping in to do an Amazon delivery or
Yes.
Walmart deliveries.
That's what
I think we could figure something out. It's a good point. I never thought about that because
please.
a lot of the complaints that we get, I know there's a Kentucky Fried Chicken on Park Avenue where someone was charged almost $500 by a booter. This is more than a regular tow and 5 nights of storage. You're booting a vehicle. They use spotters, which is illegal according to state law. So, I think this helps protect the residents.
No, it definitely does, but I just asked before we adopt, could we just make sure there's some language?
Yeah, it's in communication is going to move up. So before it shows up again, we'll try to figure out some language.
That's fair.
So before the first meeting in August, make sure that you all talk about it, see what we can come up with, okay?
Thank you.
All right, advance and adopt. Are you sponsoring this, Councilman Ramos?
Sponsoring.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Then Councilman Silva. Got me first. Ramos, Silva.
Council President, council members, we have 3 added starters.
Okay.
File number 25-0914. It's a resolution authorizing the mayor or designee enter into a contract to provide professional engineering services for facility condition assessment, Newark pool and recreational facilities.
Let's get all 3 and then go through them. Let's get all 3 first.
Council President, there are actually 5. There's actually 5 of them.
Sheesh.
Just being honest, it's 5 of them. I can go through them if you want to on the list.
let's talk about, let's get the first three and then we'll go
Sure.
back to the two. Let's go to.
Next one is 25-0103. It's a resolution authorizing the mayor designee to accept the proposal to provide professional engineering services for construction, administration, and management services for the Kauaii Water Treatment Plant.
And the next one?
The third one is waiving special event application permit fee number 25-0906 for the Meeker Height Block Party. This is sponsored by Councilman.
I'll second that last one. All right. Director Adeem, let's talk about these first two.
Good morning, Director Dean, Department of Water and Sewer Utilities. Council President, the first one is the HVAC contract at the water treatment plant. That's a professional engineering service to oversee the contractor making improvements to the HVAC system at Kauaii Water Treatment Plant. The second one is the investigation. We're doing a sewer investigation in our city. We found about 4 of our city pools are leaking water into our sewer system. So this is water that we're treating at the plant. It's going into the pool system, and every night the Eastport pool is losing about 7 inches of water every day. It's going into the sewer system. Ballin Street pool is losing about 4 inches a day, and JFK is losing about 3.5 inches every day. So it's a professional engineering service for water and sewer in conjunction with recreation to find out where this water is leaking, because we're like paying to treat the water, go in the pool, and then paying for it to go to PSEG Valley. So we just need to stop it. Get a good grip.
How much are each of these contracts?
I don't have the amount in front of me. One of them, the HVAC contract for Salem Engineering, I think it's about $320. And for the pool thing, could be another like $280 maybe. I don't have it right in.
You're talking thousands.
200, yes, 300,000.
All right. Any questions from the councilman?
We're in the middle of the summer. Is this going to require the pools to be closed or anything?
No.
Okay.
This is right now is the best time to find out where all the water is coming from, leaking from, because the pools are full, especially the indoor pools, but now in the outdoor pools, some of them are leaking too. So we're going to go through the summertime and identify what the problems is. Hopefully in the off season, we can start making repairs.
Thank you.
Councilman Kelly.
How you doing, Director? The 280 for the leaks in the pools, is that for total, for East Ward and the West Ward
For
pool?
all the pools in the city that's leaking water into the system.
Okay, and those are the only
Investigation.
2 pools that's leaking water?
There's 3 pools that we identified so far. We need to assess all of them. So we're metering PSEG Valley. So a part of our metering program that we're looking to meter PSEG Valley, our consultant on the meter side, we have found water that's coming into the sewer system. We track that water to the pools, to the places where the pool's at. So now we need to see why it's leaking into the system.
So, and you said there's 3 pools that's leaking right now.
That we identified at this point so far.
And if you identify more pools that's leaking, will that price go up?
No, that's the still price to finish the remaining pools.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Director. Full council.
Sure. So we have one more that we did not mention, which is from workforce. It's the number is 25-0942.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
25-0942.
Okay.
Ms. Gaylor will come up and speak to it.
Good afternoon, Karen Gaylord,
Good afternoon.
Executive Director of the Newark Workforce Development Board. This added starter addresses a competitive bid that was already authorized. We're looking to award the one-stop operator for the one-stop system, which includes our state partners, our municipal partners, and the one-stop operator is basically the convener of all of the partners under that system.
Mr. President,
Councilman,
can you state who's going to be designated as the one-stop operator?
Newark Works.
Okay, so you did have a process and you, okay,
Yes.
very good. Yeah, and I would sponsor this because I know there's some urgency behind this process.
I'll second that, yeah. All right, thank you.
And then the last two come from the business administrator's office. The business administrator will come up and speak to it. There are two budgets when it comes to the citizen bids.
Good afternoon, Eric Pennington, Business Administrator. As the council knows through prior presentations, the Newark Downtown District and the Greater Newark Convention and Visitors Bureau have been essentially subsumed by Newark Alliance. Prior to them moving over, I suspended money going from the city of Newark to those two entities so that we could have a smoother transition. Now, the budgets need to be adopted so that the work can continue under Newark Alliance. And so I'm asking that these be accepted as added starters for tomorrow's agenda. I don't have the Legistar numbers, but I will get them immediately after we finish our executive session to the council. I don't anticipate anything different than what would have been done if it was under NDD or the Visitors Bureau. So it's nothing anomalous other than the transition.
And just to clarify, there are two resolutions. One is for the budget for NDD. The second is for the budget for
Visitors Bureau, yes, GNVCB.
I'm sorry.
Or GNC.
Oh, GNCVB.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it essentially no longer
all
exists
under Newark
Newark
Alliance.
Alliance, yes.
Okay.
Mr. President,
go ahead.
would this be a public hearing or just tomorrow? Because they're like special improvement district budgets.
That's a great question. There's a special improvement district budget for NDD. The Visitors Bureau is slightly different. It's not a special improvement district, but I have to check as to whether or not a public hearing is required for that as well. I don't know. Randy's looking at me, so she's saying yes. She didn't say it, but I read her eyes there. They were one of those, you should know better kind of a thing, yes.
And any other questions? Mr. Biek, if you could have someone from your office send us both budgets.
Sure.
We can take a look.
Actually, I should say Evan Weiss, who's the CEO and president of Newark Alliance, was here earlier, but I didn't know we were going to actually get to this, so he left. And I'll, if necessary, have him come back tomorrow.
Anything else from the council? All right, thank you. So, I'm about to think about 5 items on there. Because this is a special meeting. I mean, this is once a month, once a month. I don't know, it seems like a lot. All right, all kidding aside, all right. So we'll review those and the council will be guided accordingly. Before you go to public comments, I do want to say something, and then I meant to say it earlier, is I just want to wish Councilman Nebo Ramos a happy birthday today. Yes. Today is his birthday. We are not going to sing because it would clear the room, but just wanted to wish him a happy birthday. I've known him since he had black hair, and I had hair. So hope you have a great day after the meeting today.
I appreciate it, Councilman. I turned 50 today.
Somebody said something?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair.
Oh, over there. Councilman.
Definitely want to celebrate his birthday. In light of the councilman's birthday, if we can get some garbage and recycling picked up around this city,
My Lord.
that would be some great help.
Yes.
Listen, I just want to bring up how important it is for us to really concentrate and focus on quality of life in this city. This has been a horrid couple of weeks as it relates to garbage pickup, recycling, as well as paper and plastic. People are utterly confused from zone A to zone B. And I just hope that there are some systems and structure that is put in place that can be able to alleviate this situation. I know, sometimes we can try to think about manpowering our way out of it. But if you hire 20 people and 20 people still don't show up to work, you're still 20 people short. We have to figure out some systems and structure to make sure that the garbage is picked up in the city, as well as the recycling is picked up in the city. And more importantly, put pressure on the residents in the city to clean up from 18 inches to their curb. in the city as well, and for our own sanitation department to clean up behind themselves. It has been horrid and throwing garbage all over the place in the street, leaving the garbage in the street. We want to provide a decent living and livable wages for folks, but at the same right, people in this city deserve to have a quality of life that when they go into other places that they can look at as well. And I'm speaking for every resident in the South Ward. I'm not going to wait for no other kind of meeting to talk about it, because our streets are dirty and they have to be cleaned. Garbage has to be picked up. And I'm quite aware of whatever circles that may be happening, but at the end of the day, we have to get back to the basics of making sure that the garbage is picked up in the city and recycling is being picked up in the city. And whatever advancements or conversations that need to be had, we can have them. But I just don't want us to keep looking at excuses like manpower or machinery, when we've purchased machinery time and time again and it is broken down. When you go down to sanitation, there are garbage trucks sitting alongside with garbage that is filled in those trucks, not released, not cleaned up. We have to show that we are willing to be a city that takes quality of life serious. At the end of the day, we have to focus on it, and we have to be intentional and impactful in the way that we clean and take care of our city. From the South Ward to every other ward, and we have to have a clear line of communication about it. Happy birthday.
Wow.
Thank you, Councilman Silva.
Yeah, I'm waving the white flag in the East Ward. We voted some time ago to bring it in-house, recycling, and it hasn't worked. It just hasn't worked. It's not because there was an effort made. I believe that when we all voted, we voted with good intentions, but the BEA knows a week doesn't go by where I don't complain about recycling or garbage. And as Council said, I just think that our residents deserve better. I was born and raised here. I've never, ever, ever seen the city as dirty as it is today. And that's a fact. That's a fact. I'm sorry to say that, but that's a fact. We can make excuses all we want, but our residents deserve better. I'll mention the tax evaluation that's going to go into 2027, and we're asking our residents to pay more taxes, but we're not providing them with the services that they deserve, and that's a problem. So I'm hoping that the BA takes into consideration, because I think every ward has probably got the same complaint. Council has in the south, I have it in the east. I'm pretty sure Councilman Ramos will talk about it in the north. But again, we need to do better, and we've given it some time. And Director Roland and prior to him, they're working really hard, but just can't make any more excuses. We have to start taking some action. So please, I'm asking the administration to do something.
Mr. President.
Councilwoman Scott Roundtree first.
So I had stated to my colleagues that I wasn't going to publicly until we tried to figure out how we could bring this in-house, the discussion to speak with the leadership. But I'm wondering, does anyone see what we see? Because riding through the city this weekend, I literally had one of my legislative aides takes pictures of the streets, of the garbage, and we're actually going into a holiday weekend. And I still see garbage packed up in front of houses, not even businesses. I mean, extreme bags of garbage. So I don't know what the plan is for sanitation. And as Councilman Council said, we cannot continue to make excuses. Bringing it, if we can't fix it internal, going outside is not going to make a difference, because we still have internal to deal with. So I'm just asking, once again, as my colleagues have, and I'm sure the BA is going to get on top of it, but I really, when the public comes to this podium and they say things and we don't respond, then it's like we don't care, and we care, we really care. And we've seen it for ourselves this weekend tremendously. I rode through this entire city, so I can't just speak on behalf of the South, agreeing with Councilman Council on behalf of the East. There's some at-large council people up here, which means we have to be concerned about every resident throughout this entire city. And so I'm asking, please, before we reach this holiday weekend, do an assessment of what's going on throughout all of these neighborhoods, Mr. BA, to talk to the leadership to just please, for the sake of our residents, for the sake of rodent control, for the sake of the health of our residents and our children, please try to address this before this holiday weekend comes. Thank you so much.
To that, if I may, Council President?
Yeah.
Let's finish with a couple more comments, okay?
Yeah, no, I don't want to keep repeating the same thing. I think the BA is familiar with the challenges. He lives in the neighborhood, so he knows, the situation. I just want to say that I do appreciate the fact that when I reach out to the director, he's very responsive.
He is responsive.
But ultimately, like Councilman Council mentioned, it's either, manpower issue or, situation where you get an unusually large number of call outs some days, and then when you miss pickup one day, it just compiles the problem to the next day, and it's essentially the same crew that's picking up the following day that now has to go back and make up for the work that wasn't done the previous day. So, it's a tough situation. Last week we did have a few days where it was ridiculously hot out there, and that compounds the problem as well. So, I don't want to keep repeating the same thing. We just got to figure something out.
Thank you, Councilman
I
Kelly.
mean, all of my colleagues pretty much said it. We know, I just get so many calls from the West Ward about garbage pickup. And like Councilman Ramos said, the director is very, he's there. He's attentive. He picks up the calls. But I think that we have to really start not just react to the situations. I think that's a lot what's going on. We're reacting, when I call DPW, I call, the director, they go to the issues that are concerns and they fix them, they mitigate them. But we have to start being proactive and really making it work. Maybe I disagree a little bit with Councilman Silva saying this is the worst that I've ever seen it, because when we had outside resource, they were horrible too. I think, what were they called? Something with a V, but they were horrible. And now we brought it inside. I don't think we're as horrible, but any garbage anywhere that makes our city look dirty is horrible. So not to beat a dead horse, but I guess if we beat it a little, maybe people will hear our cries. We're definitely crying out as council members.
You're off. Councilman Quintana.
So BA, in terms of the cans, people are still waiting for cans, in certain sectors. And, the continuing the bags to the sanitation department, it is also a problem that people are still putting garbage in bags. And those bags are tearing up by rodents and et cetera. There's sectors of folks in the city who have not received those cans. We talked that we would put it, that was in a budget. I don't know if the manufacturer has failed or whatever, but we need to make sure that we uniform the whole city with those cans. There's sectors that did not receive them. And I've received numerous of calls from different areas throughout the city. There's people saying, where's my can? When am I gonna get my recycling can? When am I gonna get the garbage, the cans that everybody else has? If you go up on Martin Luther King Boulevard, in some of those brownstones, there's 4 and 5 for one house, which is only a 2-family, And there's other sectors that really need, and we need to look at this, because still the plastic bags are still being put on the curbs. And we need to, and the rodents get to it, and the sanitation workers get to it. They're all over the place. So to their credit of our director, because our director, I witnessed him going out and picking up his pickup truck, city pickup truck, and loading it up with stuff. And he's committed to. But I think we all got to partner. We have the part of these improvement districts. We need to also ask them to help us through this time. These improvement districts need to roll up the sleeves, help us out. Because this is about all of us. Public Works, if we're short, then we need to get somebody in water and sewer to help us out with trying to clear up this a problem that we have. It's a problem that is not just sanitation, it's our problem.
Yeah, I hate to say, let me pile on, but let me just add that I agree with my council colleagues. We do need to stop reacting and be proactive. And I think I see that more. And it's, the director has a tough job. It's almost an impossible job to do, but he's very good at responding and taking care of situations that are occurring. But at some point, we have to just do a real deep dive to figure out where is the disconnect and figure out how, because there are pockets where we drive by every day. And as a councilman, we get emails, we get pictures, text to us, we get all types of things. And instead of it being, and I've spoken to you, Mr. BA, about certain things, but my hope is that instead of going forward, instead of us reacting and providing locations that need to be addressed, that we look at it holistically. How do we fix the problem from the beginning so we don't have to worry about, the director doesn't have to worry about getting phone calls or dealing with situations like that. So I don't want to beat a dead horse too, but that's my comment.
Understood, Council President and Council members. We too recognize that there are issues in sanitation that we have to address. We are in the process of bringing an operations person into assistant director and making sure that we address the issues that you've raised. We have met with Reworld, which is where the sanitation goes through Councilman Silva. I thought we had a very good meeting with them. We've talked about operationally changing how we bring our sanitation to Reworld on off hours, excuse me, to make that more efficient for how we do things. We have just hired an additional, I think it's 30 laborers to address both the sanitation and recycling issues. But I forgot it may have been Council's point, if people don't show up, we still have to address that, and we're certainly working on that. This is not to minimize the seriousness of the situation. It's actually to acknowledge that we recognize it, and we are putting as much resources into addressing this as possible. You may recall that we had 5 electric garbage trucks that were supposed to come in, and they were dedicated to recycling. That hasn't happened yet. They were supposed to come last December, then in February, then in July. That still hasn't happened because of chassis configurations and some other issues. But that still cannot be an excuse. Sanitation, garbage collection, and recycling has been a responsibility of the city for 300 years. And so it's not like it's a secret that we have to pick these things up. I hope I can agree with Councilman Kelly that this is not the worst. The prior recycling company had was Basso, and Basso was called to this council on a couple of occasions where they were disrespectful to the council, where they failed to comply with our contract, where they thumbed their nose at their obligation to make regular pickups, and so we decided to bring it in-house. We did so probably without having as an effective plan in place as we needed. We got reports from our DPW department as to what they needed, and we provided that, but we needed more. And we recognize that we are addressing it right now. We are continuing to work with, somebody else suggested, with the bids and SIDs. We had a meeting again with Councilman Silva's help with the Ironbound Business Improvement District. The director of that, the sanitation pickup CDS, they also handle Lower Broadway and Ironbound, and they have another, I think Upper Bloomfield Avenue as well. So they have a few locations that they deal with. So we are working on ways to legally transfer some of their trash to our trash and get it to the transfer station more timely. So we recognize that there are several issues. We're looking at rerouting or creating different routes because the number of residents has increased. Downtown, there are more residents. In the different wards now, we have more residents and more buildings in the East Ward, where we have to make sure that we adjust our routes to manage where the residents are. And so we're taking all of that into consideration. And I'm going to make the director available to speak to you, because there is some of the strategic planning we shouldn't discuss in public session right now as we move forward, but we certainly have a presentation to the residents, to the council in public after we talk about contracts that we're negotiating and some of the things that we need to talk about in private session. But I always stand up here in front of you and take the concerns and criticisms that you have. The mayor on one side is letting me know that we have to fix this problem, and it's coming from you. Essentially, you are representing the residents and bringing it to me from both sides. We take responsibility for that. I take responsibility for it, and we will address this.
And Mr. President, can I just?
Councilman Ramos.
Yeah, I know Councilman Quintana mentioned the issue with the trash cans. The other issue we have is that we've given cans to, homeowners and residents, and they refuse to use them. Like, they're still putting bags out on the sidewalks. I got a few apartment buildings that for Monday pickup on Sunday morning, they're putting out hundreds of garbage bags. I'm on Prospect, on Broadway, so like you said before, we need people to be supportive in our efforts, not create additional unnecessary work, and with the prevalence of Amazon and Walmart, I see people putting out literally 20, 30 individual boxes in front of their property. You know how long it takes to pick up 20 or 30 individual boxes if you're doing, garbage pickup? We have to hold people a little more accountable. I think code enforcement needs to be out on the weekends to deal with some of these folks who are doing illegal things on the weekends, especially if you're putting out garbage for 48 hours before your scheduled pickup. That just adds to many of the quality of life issues. So
Absolutely. To that point, Councilman Ramus, on the code enforcement side, I actually had a meeting with the proposed code enforcement manager yesterday, and we talked about changing the schedule so that we have somebody who works from a Monday through Saturday and a Tuesday through Sunday. The same thing, I have not had the opportunity to discuss that specifically with DPW, but the same thing with sanitation inspectors. They have to be out on the weekends as well to address the issues that you have raised, and they have to do it in a systematic way. We can't be as reactive as we have been. We have to be more proactive. We need more sanitation inspectors, and when we get them, and code enforcement inspectors, they have to do their jobs. So we have had that discussion. As I say, I had that discussion yesterday with code enforcement, and I was actually pleasantly surprised with the discussion. I believe that they are committed to improving, and we are working on getting them the appropriate resources they need to get their jobs done as well.
Thank you. Anything else from the council? Councilman Silva.
Yeah, so I'm going to take what I said to the East Ward, when I've never seen the streets the way they are today. The South, the West, the North could speak for themselves. I'm letting you know, living in the East Ward for over half a century, I've never seen it the way it is today. But it's also, you nailed it on the head, we have a lot more people. We have a lot more people. I wouldn't even know how many people are living in the East Ward today, but I could tell you that we probably have the most of any ward, or the fastest growing ward in the city. And I'll tell you an example of what I saw yesterday, and I appreciate the effort. I saw a small garbage truck going down the street, and the driver would stop and pick up the recycling by himself. That can't happen. I appreciate the effort, but that man will be beat within the next few blocks. And to beat down our people this way is not an effective way to pick up our garbage. I agree with Councilman Council said. You could hire 30 people call out, and that could be the problem. I have a stack of applications in my little city hall waiting for people to come pick up, because I want to get people hired, and I know that the city needs it, but we need to come up with a solution now sooner than later because it is really getting bad. Today, I have one of my aides assigned to go out to see how much cardboard is still out there. And we have a lot of cardboard still out there. And today's Tuesday, and it was Sunday night pickup. And so why not just pick up everything Sunday night if they have to stay an extra hour or two? Why have to come back Monday? Why have to come back Tuesday? There's no need for that. So if we have to extend the shift and pay a little bit extra, why not just pick it up in one day? Instead, it affects the pickup in other wards on Monday because they got to come back to the east. Then they're back in the east today again, 2 days later, and that's what's happening. They're coming back consecutive days, and somewhere in that it's affecting the other pickups in the other wards when you have to pull your resources back into the east on Monday, back into the east on Tuesday. And so I don't know if it's reworld. I don't know, again, if it's the weight that we discussed in that. I thought the meeting was very productive, but we have to come up with a solution. The way it's going today is not working. The garbage pickup is very good. It's the recycling, the bottles and cans and the papers. So if we can just try something different, I don't know what the answer is. It's not my expertise, but if Director Roland, who's doing a great job, and like Councilman Ramos says, always answers the phone, but there's gotta be a better solution than what's going on today.
Understood. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, council members. Thank you, Mr. Beard. I think in the essence of time, we need to continue and move forward. Let's do it here.
We are now in the public portion of this meeting in which each speaker has 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name for the record. Is there anyone wishing to address the council?
Hello, my name is Charles Smith, and I'm a 30-year resident on University Avenue between James and Central Avenue. I'm here on behalf of the homeowners and taxpayers on University Avenue to speak about 2 problems. The first, I've heard the council speak about, and that's the garbage and recycling. A lot has been said. The only thing I would add is that the situation that I've been dealing with for the last 4 years has been horrendous. I've written letters to the director of sanitation. I've made numerous phone calls. I could fill a book. To me, it seems to be an endemic problem. Somehow, whatever is being done, it's not changing the situation. It's almost like asking the fox to manage the hen house. I don't know, but I think perhaps some objective eyes from outside ought to take a look at the whole system and how it's being run and how it's being managed, because I only see Band-Aid approaches. I see changes that happen every couple of weeks, and then it goes back to the same pattern. I won't say any more than that. The other major complaint I have is that last year, the Newark Museum started a major construction project on Central Avenue, on the corner of Central and University. No effort was made by the museum or the city to contact the homeowners on University Avenue to ask about the impact of that construction. To make it very quick, a quarter of our parking spaces on that block, which are all permit parking, which we have to pay for, were taken for construction. Every day, construction vehicles, electrical vehicles, 16-wheeler or 18-wheeler vehicles are coming down University Avenue to the work site, but they're also taking parking spaces that we as homeowners are limited to. We cannot park anywhere else in the area. The problem is that we've reached out to the mayor, not the mayor, excuse me, to the museum. We've spoken to the construction workers. They've not responded. They continue to park. They bring their vehicles in. They act as if we don't exist. I'm asking the council to address, or some, at least the council president. I sent pictures to your office to indicate what's the problem. So I'm asking some help for the homeowners.
I hate to say, cut you short. Thank you for your comments. At the end, we'll talk about it.
All right,
I'll
thank you.
speak to you afterwards if you can stay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good afternoon, Felicia Austin Singleton.
Good afternoon.
First, want to say happy birthday to Councilman Aníbal Ramos. I also want to take the time to say thank you, President Crump, for your assistance with the mother of five. You know, we were down to the hour, basically, and you stepped in, you lended out a hand, and I wanted to thank you, because if not, we would have 6 homeless people on the street right now, and you know that. Watch the movie Straw. That's our residents today in housing. That's our residents. This agenda has technically 68 pages of lies. Of lies. Y'all created the homeless, the mayor's homeless office. That was created. Then Eric Pennington want to come up here, ain't talking about me, wham, wham, wham. You had the same person sitting here, first thing on the agenda, who gave us Lincoln Hotel. But yet you want to put a whole nother Lincoln Hotel right there at the Riviera. Disgraceful, disrespectful. We did have oversight of affordable housing. God rest his soul, Dwayne Middleton. They called him heavy, sweet God. He was our oversight for affordable housing. When I asked him, he answered, very different from the team he supported, but very nice guy. Where has it been? Where is our housing committee meetings? Half of the information that's coming to this council that you don't want to hear can be heard at the housing committee meeting. I sent you emails, no response. Thank you, Patrick Council, for addressing me on issues in the South Ward, because at the end of the day, I have to say thank you, because we haven't been getting it. But at the end of the day, your time is winding down. You have less than a year to continue making excuses or show some progress for the people, or 2026, I promise you we're going in a different direction. I promise you we're putting them out. Just like that garbage left at the corner, that's where you will be left at the voting polls, not at a victory party, not nothing. The residents need you. Step up or step out. We can't do it anymore. For it to come out across Facebook that the housing authority had interactions with L&M in that museum outraged me. If you don't know what I'm talking about, ask Patrick Council. It was at the Board of Commissioners meeting that it was a problem. I rolled my eyes so much I had to focus to get clear at this council meeting. Lord Jesus.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Jesus.
Lisa Parker. Let me first address the BA who comes here rambling about nothing, who has failed his fiduciary obligation to have a budget on time. He has allowed the city to be in debt deficit through mismanagement, wasteful spending, and bonding. We pay those debts back. Instead of being fiscally responsible, he has promoted the administration's agenda. All this agenda has nothing but pork belly in it for all these tax appeals, tax abatements for everybody that's a friend, family, and a donor to this administration. He has no response to the people for anything with the city's business that we come here for answers for, but will come to the podium to violate the Constitution, our civil rights, by suppressing public forums and free speech. I have the right to free speech. If you tell a lie, and if you don't tell the truth, it's a lie. Let me put this aside. You talk about emergency preparedness when you was an epic failure for that cargo fire, that 2 firemen lost their lives, that Linda Carter comes here for the past few years talking about emergency preparedness. I've come here about emergency preparedness. You don't have one sign in this entire city to tell somebody where to evacuate in an emergency or a crisis. You've done nothing. The president don't dare go on social media ever again to talk about your frustration with being in that seat when all you have done is collected a paycheck from 3 different sources, but have yet to do anything legislatively to resolve our issues. I have come to you about the people in my community that are suffering. Where's my legislation? Where's your people at to come and talk and sit down with us to figure out a plan to keep people in their homes? But everybody outside, shalom, gets to rule and buy everything and gentrify us out of the community? How dare you? Let me know when you're ready to talk business, because you should have been doing that since you got in that seat. Don't talk about us. Do your job and start working for the people.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Deborah Salters, worry for the people, and what she said. So I don't, the fact that you get on social media, what upsets Larry? Let me tell you what upsets me, lying Larry Crump. And as she said, from the time that I learned the English language, I was told, if you tell a lie, you're a liar. Tell the truth and you're a truth teller. We know that from 6 months. So it's not a shade thrown, it's the truth. I tell you all the time, I don't care about your truth, I don't care about my truth. What is the truth? The truth is you tell a lie, especially continually, you are a continual habitual liar. Now, you all will argue about garbage cans and trash at Georgia King Village, booting at Georgia King Village. The people are living in such deplorable conditions. They're using mothballs in the ceiling because they fired the exterminators. The smell will make you sick. And this is what the people are living with there. They boarded up the handicap access to get up and down. They got to go all the way around the block to get to the bus because they boarded that up because they don't want to deal with it. So there are living conditions, deplorable living conditions right there. You mentioned Georgia King and booting. Living, they're not living a good quality of life. The sick are being made sicker by the quality of life that they have there, which is nil to none. But you all will argue about garbage cans. Where is my parking, Silva? My neighbor, because of Rock the Bells the other night, had to park all the way down on her way almost to Central Avenue because we don't have parking permits that you can make happen. Because everybody else made it happen. But you were told to leave it alone because I was the one asking. Our neighbors who are paying market rate rent, who are paying for parking in lots that get inundated and overfilled, when you can rectify this, but you do it for your precious Ironbound. We are the East Ward as well. Don't pick and choose. We're talking about the garbage. Fix the sound, please, because this echo is crazy. We're talking about garbage. You know why? Because people were out not doing their jobs. They were campaigning with the mayor for governor. We don't have a budget, but yet we have the BA standing with him at Delaney Hall and wherever else for the undocumented. How about those of us who are here, residents, been here, paying taxes, which are going up, paying water bills, which went up, all of these things, and we don't get the attention when it's in your power to do so, which shows us that you do not care. What you care about, you provide for. So don't look at us like we're crazy. Your actions are telling us who you are.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Reverend Queen Mother Imaku, Central Ward. I'm back here to
afternoon.
update you on my apartment situation. Note, the city is suing my landlord. Okay, I don't know when, because they don't tell the residents when that's happening. I don't think that's correct. So I have uneven flooring. They put in ceramic tiling, okay? So all throughout my apartment, instead of it being balanced like this, it's like this. I trip throughout my apartment every day. So it's my landlord's position that there's nothing that they can do about it. So that makes my apartment uninhabitable, according to New Jersey law. I've already tripped and hurt myself a number of times, okay? Now, the sister who represents relocation office, she came to my apartment and she fell in first because there's a gap. When you walk in the door, there's a drop that's about the size of this, okay? And so she advised me to put up with it and to compromise. It was such a beautiful apartment. Well, wherever I live is gonna be beautiful because that stuff is mine, okay? But in spite of that, because of all the money that they put in on flooring and I can see what they're doing with the subway tiles, but that doesn't count. I live there. I'm not compromising my health anymore. This has been a 2-year issue, 2 years. And also, so some repairs were done, some abatements, but again, like 2 years ago and like a year ago, the individual decided to pick and choose what to fix and what not to fix. Okay, so also my windows, which before, initially when I moved in, were sealed shut, they were painted shut. Okay, the fire department forced them to open it, which they did begrudgingly. Okay, so then there was a gap, so my windows wouldn't close. Now my windows are back to being glued shut. I want to know, what is the city going to do about this? 2 years, and the building is still unregistered. Still. What are we supposed to do? Compromising our safety because a good-looking apartment is hard to get? Good-looking apartments are going up all over the city, and then people move in and find out that there are problems. See, the thing is, because you don't live there. When you live there and find out and complain, and then it takes forever for anything to get done. I'm so angry right now. I'm so angry with y'all. I've lost so much faith. I want to see something happen and not just some lip service. Don't tell me I have to compromise my health.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Manera El Bumani. Good riddance. Failed leadership, no other way to describe you. No other way. I didn't come here for no feel-good ceremonies. I'm an American national who pay your tax dollars, who pay my tax dollars for your salaries. I am American national who tax dollars are going towards municipal services. And it's my civic duty to provoke government accountability. All we have going on in this city is slumlords, slum politicians, gentrification, displacement, joblessness, poverty, filthy streets, shootings and murders every day, and in July, no budget. Unacceptable. We are paying penalties every day that there's not a budget passed in this city. Newark residents, homeowners, Taxpayers, you're not outraged enough? You're not outraged? It's July, no budget. This BA who receives almost a 300K salary shouldn't have no authority to come up here and talk about any agenda in this book right here you got. None whatsoever. It should be a letter sent for his removal this day forward. 300K salary that's coming from the tax dollars, homeowners and taxpayers of the city. And you're not outraged enough? No emergency OEM plan, no anything in this city. No authority. He should have no authority to speak. And then you talk about this lady talking about political intimidation. Huh? LaMonica McIver, since you've been here, since you've been a council president, all the community advocates like myself come up here, all we was faced with was political intimidation, exclusion, ejections.
Thank you.
Unacceptable.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Good afternoon, George Tillman Jr. First, I'd like to address our last meeting, June 4th, 2025. This municipal council, along with the business administration, spoke to the residents of New Community, and they told them that they were going to come up there and meet with them, the residents, and discuss the issues that were going on there and compile a list of the complaints that was to be addressed, and that did not happen. And so when we talk about Ms. Roundtree, they lied. New Community lied to you all about the things that they were supposed to do up there. Well, the residents feel the same way right about now, that they were lied to because there was no meeting. It's been a whole month. No, there wasn't a meeting where the entire council, like they said, we're going to meet with the residents and the business administrator. That meeting that never happened. It never happened. I've been meeting with those residents ever since that meeting on June 4th, and that meeting did not happen where the administration and the entire municipal council came and met with the residents regarding the problems of New Community. They'll be here tomorrow, so if that happened, then we'll find out. Not getting any answers. Mr. Ramos, he's not here right now, so he knows how we feel. We're not getting any answers. There's no way possible that we're doing business right now. And you say, see what we see? Newark residents aren't working. The administration sees that, but we're still doing illegal business. I'm gonna say why we're doing illegal business. There's no way that a councilman, we came here, we talk about the Affirmative Action Review Council. That's a part of our law. And you have a sworn obligation to uphold the law. Where that Affirmative Action Review Council that's supposed to be doing the monitoring and compliance of our Newark residents' employment policy has not been meeting at all. Yet we're still doing tax abatements. That's illegal. There's no way that a whole component of the government is not functioning that's a part of these economic incentives, and we're still doing business. Tell me, how is that possible, Councilman? Council President, how is that possible? That we're still doing business where a whole component of the government that's supposed to be doing the compliance and the monitoring of these tax abatements is not functioning, yet we're still doing business. So we're not getting any answers either. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Peace, this is Sister Atia Bay.
I'm sorry, could you repeat your name?
Sister Atia
Okay,
Bay.
thank you, and your.
From the White Terrace, Clinton Place, West Runyon, Power to the People Civic Association.
Thank you.
I would like to commend all of you guys, because what y'all doing as leaders, not perfect, but you're doing your best. I know, have been in leadership in positions many times, but I really want to give a solution after I first give a comment to my council person and my council at large person, Roundtree and council. I want to thank you for what I have seen you do thus far recently, especially around the Juneteenth weekends, coming out to events, Roundtree. It was such a wonderful, wonderful, although I missed you on Bergen Street, because I had to leave to go to 2 other Juneteenth celebrations, but I did get the opportunity to speak with my council person. I want to thank you for always trying to do something positive with our community pertaining to Juneteenth. Unfortunately, it's been over 7 years that I'm a widower. June 16th was the date that my husband passed, so I've been kind of out of touch for 7 years, but I'm ready now to move forward, and I will be looking forward to working with you, council. I need to know when you're having your monthly meetings and how we can come up with some more solutions to some of the said problems that we know goes on in all of the wards, but more so the council person. I want to also thank Gonzalez because he's gone at the moment. I don't see him. I'm visually impaired in one eye, totally blind in the other. Okay, thank you. But I had to ask him at your Juneteenth on Bergen Street, why is it that he's never responded to me as a council person at large to any of the meetings that we was having at Leaders for Life? He claimed that it's a big Newark. So what is a big Newark? None of the council at large persons have ever came to any of my invited meetings, and that must stop. So what he was kind of embarrassed, because I did this in front of the fallen heroes. My brother died as a fallen fire, 14 years on the force, Cornelius Myron Knowlton. And that was in 2007. So he gave me his card. He asked me to invite him to the very next one because I'm ready to unseat any of the couch potatoes. I'm ready to let it be known what it is that you have and have not done. As far as Roundtree, she has done more that I've seen with than all of you put together at showing up and assisting and inspiring the residents and anybody else that are just regular average people. She's there. I go to funerals, she's there. Some of y'all are there too, but she's there. So the only solution, I will call you back on that, okay, Councilman? I want to also speak to you, Councilor Larson. I'm sure that you will help too because your mother loved me as her bonus daughter, Peace.
Absolutely. Thank you for your comments. Next speaker. Seeing none, speaking is closed. Couple quick comments. Councilwoman Scott Roundtree. And then we'll go.
First, I want to address Queen Mother. I do want to follow up with the individual that she met with, the representative from the city or whatever office. So we have an aide that's taking that information regarding that comment. To address Mr. Tillman, there's never been a time that something was brought to this meeting that I did not discuss with the council president, the other at-larges. Those are Central Ward properties. We scheduled a meeting with the entire leadership of New Community Corporation. It wasn't a meeting that was put out publicly because we wanted to hold them accountable for a list. There's a report that will be given. We walked through the building with this. So to say that we did not have a meeting with all of the tenants, because as soon as you left this meeting, I went to the Central Ward office, Council President and I had a conversation, and we held all of New Community, just the 3 properties, we're dealing with all of them. Your concern came here about 180, 140, and 265, but we are concerned about the entire New Community ownership of where residents live. We just started with those 3 because they were concerns that were brought to this meeting by the residents. We went after meeting with, and that was from Councilman Crump's office and the Central Ward. I cannot say what the problem was with the scheduling of the other individuals. I don't think it met, but I wanted to do it before we came to this meeting. And sometimes the schedule just won't allow for everybody to show up at their convenience, but at our ask, the whole team was there, everybody that does anything from pest control, because I wanted to express the concerns and get a report from them, which they provided. And then I walked through the building with, we're going to do the other two, but we spent so much time with the leadership at 140, the security, pest control, managers, all the way down to, all the way up to the CEO. So we started at the bottom, but everybody was in the room, at least 20 people and leadership in 140 for us to discuss those, because these little piecemeal meetings, then it takes longer. So they brought everybody to the table that has anything to do. This isn't a, it's personal, but it's professional. It's city business. When the residents in these and the seniors, when we talk about the conditions of their living, if we could go through every building throughout this city where there's a senior to do an inspection. In this case, it was brought to the council. You brought residents here. Residents showed up. They've showed up at tax abatement committee meetings. Immediately when they left here on June 4th, we scheduled a meeting. And we didn't ask them when it was convenient for them. We told them we needed a meeting before our next council meeting, so we have a response for the community, not just for you, but for the whole people, all of the people that are watching and all the people that are in this council chambers. They've given me an updated report as of today. I had 2 reports because I went myself to those people who were complaining about pull cords. I also got a report from some residents that told me they weren't going to let the people in. So if you don't let the people in to check the problem, how the problem going to get fixed? And I'm putting that on record because I had one person tell me specifically, a leader in that building, I'm not going to call the name, came to me and says, I said, I need to get in your apartment. You got a complaint about the pool. She said, nobody could. She said, you could come. I said, well, I don't fix cords. She said, well, I'm not letting them in my apartment. So that's part of the problem. So while we're complaining about what they're not doing, we have residents who are not in compliance. We also have residents that are very filthy. And it's not that, it might be a sickness. Hoarding is a mental issue. So they don't want to let people in. So we want to get in. So we got 20, I got a report right now on my phone because I requested before July 1st, a report of everything that was on that checklist. So I don't want it to be on record that nothing was done and no meetings took place. The tenant presidents were called. I asked specifically after we met with the leadership of that building for the tenant presidents, and 2 of the people in there said their cords weren't working, 3 of them. We went up there and the cord was working in one of the residents. The other one, it was working in one room and not working in the other, and then the other person said we couldn't go in. She says, I don't want them in. She said, oh, you could come. Then she said that she didn't have the keys, whatever. So, I mean, like, we can only do but so much, but it was truly addressed. And we definitely went before this meeting so we would be able to respond just in case someone came to the podium to say we did not. Now, will there be a follow-up meeting? Absolutely, because we're going to, and I wanted to do that before this meeting, it just wasn't enough time. I want to go to 180, I want to go to 265, and then we have some other administrative concerns about some other properties throughout this city, not just New Community. So at the request of the community, not just those who live in the building, just the surrounding community, we are going and we're going to check and we're going to hold them accountable, because you can't tell me it's fixed. I gave them 48 hours to give me a report, and I told the residents to call me. I didn't say for them to call me. I said, I want you to call me and tell me if it's not fixed. I haven't gotten one phone call, and that was on was it Wednesday? I don't know what day we went. I got to look at my schedules to me, but I asked them for a report in 48 hours for those cords where the apartments I did go to. Now they responded, but the residents have not. So we can only do but so much. I'm going back over there. We're going to go to 180, and we're going to do our own walkthrough. We don't need we're going to do our own walkthrough so we can physically see, not who they take us to, where we just randomly go and knock on a door because someone had a complaint. And then we'll come back with a further report for you, Mr. Tillman, and the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Anything else from the council? Seeing none, one quick thing I just want to say, Ms. Bay, I try to pride myself on going to as many community meetings as possible because I do truly believe that the community does not, we can't know what the community is thinking by sitting up here or by going upstairs. So if I don't go to a meeting or nobody from my office goes to the meeting, 90% of the time, we don't know about the meeting. And if you could, I'll give you a card so you can make sure that I'm on your email list, Ms. Bay. Ms. Bay, Ms. Bay. I just want to make sure, because I will give you my card to make sure that I'm on your list because I'm not aware of any meetings. And I talk to Al Tariq all the time, White all the time. So I just want to say I'm not aware, but I want to be made aware. So I'll give you my card when this meeting's over. Thank you. That being said, I do apologize to PSEG that they've been hanging out here for 3 hours. I appreciate your patience. Honestly, you tell me what you want to do at this point. We may revisit this somehow because I know you all have other obligations. And although the city of Newark is the biggest city you represent, you got other obligations. I'll say that. But I appreciate even if you do a truncated version of what you're going to present.
No, I got you, Council President. No problem.
Thank you.
I'm going to try to do my best.
Is that mic on?
I'm going to try to do my best to run
There we
through
go.
this as quickly
All
as
right.
possible. I did prepare a small little presentation. If I can figure out how to work this.
It's not on yet, is it? And can we get your name for the record too?
There we go. Perfect. So my name is Gary Williams. I'm a regional public affairs manager for PSEG. First, I wanted to say thank you to Councilwoman Roundtree. Last week at her mother's legacy brunch, she honored myself and my mother. And again, thank you for that honor. And
Do me a favor, Mr. Williams. Can you
really
pull the
appreciate
mic
that.
up a little, sweetie?
The clicker's not working, so I'll just it's not working. I'll just
And you're welcome.
I'll just go through this. There we go.
That's him.
It's not. It's all right. Don't worry about it.
Here we go.
There we go. So the things I just wanted to touch on briefly is our summer relief initiative, our affordability initiative. I have some colleagues of mine here with me to talk about payments assistance programs and energy efficiency programs. So our summer relief initiative. First off, just want to say that PSEG is committed to ensuring that all customers, especially those who are financially vulnerable, have access to safe, reliable, and affordable energy. The affordability initiative is a multi-pronged approach designed to reduce energy burdens, promote energy equity, and also build stronger, more resilient communities. PSEG is implementing the summer relief initiative to protect and assist customers managing those high summer electric bills. This initiative helps address some of the impact from the June 1st electric supply increase that's a result of the PJM's capacity auction, price auction. So some of the tenets of that initiative is a summer moratorium. It's an expansion of what we currently do in the wintertime, but we're going to be dragging that out beginning July 1st through September 30th. We will have shut-off protections for low income and qualified individuals. Also, no reconnection fees through the September 30th. Additionally, energy assistance bill payments. The state will provide 2 one-time residential energy assistance bill payments to defray the impact. Every customer will get a $100 credit, and then those that qualify will get an additional $150. Just want to be clear and let the record state that PSEG was the first utility to implement a summer relief initiative, and we continue to work through the NJBPU on additional proposals to mitigate those impacts of these electric supply price increases. So payment assistance programs, PSEG offers a range of financial assistance tools to help customers stay current on their bills. Some include the Universal Service Fund, Low Income Energy Assistance Program, also known as LAHEAP, which is a federal program, PAGE, the Payment Assistance Gas and Electric Program, also deferred payment arrangements. We offer flexible payments, allowing customers to pay overdue balances over time. Together, these programs support thousands of customers annually in maintaining their energy services without financial hardship. energy efficiency. So we're trying to reduce energy consumption, which is one of the most sustainable ways to lower your energy bill. PSEG offers a home weatherization program, a whole home energy assessment, also energy efficient appliance rebates. You can get up to $750 for your Energy Star appliance that's applicable. Also, we do targeted outreach. We do an engagement campaign that's focused on reaching the underserved community, those with the greatest needs of efficiency upgrades. Those efforts not only reduce the bills, but they also improve home comfort and environmental outcomes. Community partnerships. PSEG partners with a wide range of nonprofit organizations, local government, faith-based institutions, and community leaders to, number one, identify households in need. It's important that we communicate with these organizations because, to your point earlier, Council President, we don't know what we don't know. So leveraging the community's touch points to connect with those hard-to-reach residents is a vital resource. We also provide application assistance to help walk residents through that process. And also, we try to amplify our impact, supporting community-based organizations through grants and sponsorships tied to affordability and sustainable goals. These partnerships are crucial to bridging the gap and the divide in access and trust and information for our communities. Customer outreach and education. So, no pun intended, but knowledge is power. And in this case, it also provides savings. PSEG proactively educates customers about energy usage and affordability options through community events and webinars. I know that we've done some things in the West Ward and the South Ward and throughout the city, and also throughout our territory. We hold seminars for payment assistance. We also make sure that our information is multilinguistic to reflect New Jersey's diverse population. Again, targeted campaigns. We use data to identify and reach customers that are at high risk of falling behind. So, and again, the goal is to empower customers with the tools and information they need to manage these energy costs and confidently and sustainably. So with that, I have some colleagues here with me who may want to touch on some of the payment energy assistance programs through outreach and also some energy efficiency questions if you guys have them. So with that concludes it. So if you guys have any questions or need different additional information, happy to provide it.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I meant to say this in the beginning. I want to thank PSEG and Gary and Mr. Williams and those who are here and those who, I guess maybe a month ago, I attended a stakeholder meeting that PSEG had. And because of that meeting, they were talking about so many great programs that are there for our residents and to know about. So I thought it'd be important for PSEG to come here to share that information so that we as council members can share it, but to our constituency and community, but also for the community to see this on TV and also learn about it. So I just wanted to say that and be thankful and thank you for PSEG for being such a good community partner with the city of Newark. We truly appreciate that. With that being said,
Yes, I want to
question from, and then you, Councilman Kelly, and then.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to thank you, Mr. Williams, just for being so responsible to all of the residents' needs or whenever I have questions about some things for the residents with PSEG, just being great partners in the community. You always answer the phone, even when I have difficult questions. I appreciate it. Or you get right back to me. And it's not really getting back to me, but it's getting back to the residents. So I just want to say thank you.
No problem. Councilwoman Roundtree.
I just have to commend Gary Williams. I'm telling you, this young man has, I've known him through Trenton, through all of he has a beautiful mother. We know his mother, Dr. Diane Hill. He comes from good stock. Again, congratulations, a well-deserved honor. I have someone, very close to me that works for PS, and she's been there 25 years and had no idea that a brother had the position that you have. And it's just, listen, I have to say DEI, public service, got their eyes right because they put you, they got their eyes right, Council President, because they put you in a position to help the people, and it's a very high-ranking position. And so you're doing a good job. We commend you. We thank God for you, and we wish you to continue success that is before you with what you're doing to help our people, the people, God's people, be able to get the assistance they need. So again, thank you, Brother Williams.
And thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman, Council?
It's still dark in the South Ward.
You know what?
I mean, there's some stuff that we had to work on over there off of Dayton. And if we can arrange a walk in the evening to check out some areas that we can continue to try to work to make sure that there's some areas in the South Ward that are lit up. I mean, I do, agree with, my council colleagues. You are, indeed responsive. But there are still some things in the South Ward that needs to happen. There's some lights that are out. And residents, I know that there is a new system that was in place that we wanted to let residents know about. So if you can just inform them about if they have a light that is out on their block, on their pole. I know there's a system where they can go through and put it in and have it checked. Can you just, make them aware of that? Because there are a lot of lights out in certain areas around, the city. I know in the South Ward there are some. But if you can, just advise them of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And in regards to the lights in the South Fork, happy to do that, do a walk with you and bring my colleagues who can help with some of that. But in the meantime, if you can give me the poll numbers, I can see if I can get a crew out there to see if there's some quick changes we can get done in the meantime. So in regards to reporting outages, it's really simple. We have a new user-friendly system. You just go to PSEG/outages. You will be able to self-report. All you need is your address. It'll pull up a map and you can literally see what light is off, what light is on, when it was reported. And you type in your address, you hit submit, you will get an email confirmation that we have it. You also get an email confirmation when it's fixed. And if it's not fixed in 72 hours, typically, which is our turnaround time, that means it might be a broader issue as opposed to just a quick switch. It might be an underground electric issue, or the light might just be at the end of its life cycle. But again, we try to get to everything as quickly as we can.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. I believe that is it. Let me give a shout out to Sarah Pena, Director of External Affairs. We've known her for a very long time. I've been a community person. But again, thank you, Gary Williams. Thank you for your whole team for being here. I appreciate your staying here, and thank you for the information. Everybody have a great day now. We're done. We can't. We got 4.